A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Five bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention, all districts. A 5-alarm fire. 5 bells. Move in immediately.
That's it. Let's go.
Let's go.
Firefighters.
Presenting Firefighters, the true-to-life story of our unsung heroes who stand ready to ride by day or night against our most murderous enemy, the demon of fire. In just a minute, we'll join Tim Collins at the quarters where the rescue company is stationed, where, as Chief Cody warned him, Tim finds rough going as his new mates resent any outsider breaking into their circle. Before we hear what's happening, we have time for this message. Let's go, firefighters. Let's go to the assembly room at headquarters of the rescue company, where you remember Tim Collins, carrying his helmet, boots, and turnout coat, has just walked in, planning to report to Captain Jellybone as ordered. But when he announces to the men sitting around that he's come to join their company, 2 of them, Mush Mushnosky and Smokehead McBride, make it plain that no newcomers are welcome.
All right, Collins, so you got a good record. Why don't you keep it that way? Why don't you go back where you belong?
Yeah. Why come busting in where you were not one?
Come back in a couple of years when you're grown up. Go on home now while everybody's friends.
Don't keep hanging around till you get hurt.
No, I've got my orders and I'm sticking.
Oh, yeah? Can't take a friendly hint, huh?
Oh, well, so the kid wants trouble.
Well, Mush?
What do you say, Smokehead?
Too bad, but I guess we gotta educate the kid. Come on, Mush.
Yeah, come on, all of you, if that's how you want it.
All right.
Attention!
Here comes Captain Jellybone.
Just a little mite noisy, aren't you, boys?
Yeah, well, sorry, Captain. We, got kind of worked up. We kind of thought you had your sleep out, Captain. Hope so, anyways.
After last night, we figured you'd need some shut-eye, Captain. We didn't go to...
Who's this, the new man?
Private Collins reporting, sir, on transfer to rescue company from engine 209.
I've been waiting long for me, Collins. I was expecting you.
About 10 minutes, sir. The boys have been making me welcome.
Something on your mind, Mush?
Oh, no, Captain. I was just kind of choked. See, something stuck in my throat.
Yeah, those words are welcome, maybe.
Sir?
Nothing much, nothing at all. Oh, Collins.
Yes, sir.
About reporting for duty. I was expecting maybe you'd report to me as soon as you got here. Way I remember it, that's what men do as a rule.
Yes, sir.
Now, you take all these rules and regulations, Collins, at times, and they add up to a lot of nuisance. Here in Rescue Company, we don't have so many rules about how we do our work. Is that right, boys?
Yes, sir.
Come time to do our work, I just say to us, boys, there's the job. Do it your way, and do it fast.
I understand, Captain.
Yeah. But you take discipline now. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but it seems to me that a man needs rules to go by. Following the rules, that kind of keeps him in training. So maybe somebody raps out an order sometime. He just naturally obeys on the jump. You see what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Discipline. That might save your life someday. Smokehead?
Yes, sir.
Smoke, did I say for you boys to stand at ease?
No, sir.
Discipline, Collins. Here in our company, we've got a fine bunch of boys. Mighty fine. And they got discipline, too. Next time you're supposed to report, you see what I mean?
I see what you mean, sir.
Permission to speak, Captain.
Captain, it shouldn't be that...
Something to say, boys? Mush? What is it?
Well, Captain, sir, it shouldn't be that the kid gets a black mark for not reporting right away.
Well, you're making excuses for him.
Captain, it was us. We thought you ought to be resting up. We said he should wait until you...
All right, boys, all right. We'll say no more. At ease, all. I'd like for you to shake hands with Hooksy Collins. Now, Collins, I don't go to tell my boys who they should get along with and who they shouldn't. But in my company quarters, we don't usually have any fighting to speak of. You see what I mean?
Oh, no, Captain. I'm not asking for any fights, but...
You boys, you see what I mean?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anything happens, well, it won't be nothing to speak of.
That's well and good. Now, Hooksy, you shake hands and get acquainted, and then come along to my office. And bring your gear.
Well, kid, you heard what the captain said. I'll shake your hand, but...
Me too. But don't go getting the idea you're going to last here in the rescue company any length of time.
That's all right with me, boys. I'll be seeing you soon.
You bet you will.
We ain't settled yet what to do about you, Collins. You'll be seeing us, all right.
A few minutes later, Tim Collins, tight-lipped and serious, presents himself in Captain Jellybone's office.
Reporting, sir.
All right, boys, sit down. Don't have to be too formal.
Oh, but, sir, the rules, they...
Yep, the rules come in handy when it's time to crack the whip. Good boys I have, best boys of the department. But there's times that I have to crack the whip.
Yes, sir, I hope I'm not going to be the cause of trouble, sir, in the company.
Don't give it a thought, son. Why, bless me, Smokehead McBride out there, first 6 months he was with us, his pal Musnoshkin had drove him crazy. Mush, he's a carny. Knows a million ways to make a man wish he never was born.
A carny, sir?
He used to work for a carnival. Acrobat he was, and other things. And Smokehead, he used to be a sailor. He's tattooed all over. He's more blue than white. And the rest, well, they're all kinds, Huxley, all kinds of experience.
Yes, sir, but... Well, they're firemen, too, aren't they?
First, last, and foremost. Make no mistake about that.
And they all had to take a hazing when they first came to the company?
Same as I did years ago.
You too, Captain.
Those days. Yeah, I was a cocky young one. Champion of the department. Amateur nights.
Amateur nights? You mean boxing?
Yep. I was a tough young fellow. Thought I was. Pretty good with my fists. Not so good at taking orders till I put up my fist with a certain officer in the department.
Well, sir, you fought with an officer, but...
Deputy chief he was, no less. I wouldn't take his orders.
Yes, sir, but weren't you... Well, I mean, you could have been tried on charges. You could have been thrown out of the department.
Yep. But Ben Collins, he didn't want to let me go.
Ben Collins? You mean my own dad?
Your own father, boy. When I put up my fist to him, he blackened both my eyes. Sooner than throw me out of the service. I've been grateful to him ever since.
Well, Good grief, I never knew that.
Nobody ever did. But your dad and me. Yes, I was good with my fists, but your dad was better. Yep. How are you?
How am I? Oh, with my fists. Well, not too bad, sir, I guess.
Now, you heard what I said. In my company quarters, no fighting to speak of. You see what I mean?
You mean, sir, only maybe what might be absolutely necessary. Or if a man has no other choice.
There's a set of gloves in the watchman's desk.
Boxing gloves?
Yeah, just for exercise. You see what I mean?
Yes, sir, and thanks for the advice.
Oh, you'll get along fine, son. Oh, you will all get acquainted. I got paperwork.
As Tim walks out of Captain Jellybone's office, he wears a tight grin on his face, and a plan is shaping in his mind. At the door of the assembly room, he calls out,
Hey, Chowderhead!
Who's that? Huh? Who you yelling at?
Not you, Mush. I mean Chowderhead McBride.
What's that? What are you calling me?
Hey, Smokehead. You hear what he said?
That's an insult.
Yeah, come on. I want some exercise.
Smokey, I'll toss you a coin to see who takes him apart.
Hold on. Here's the chief.
Attention. Hut.
At ease, men. Where's Captain Jellybone? In his office?
Right inside, Chief Cody.
Thank you, Collins.
With a quick salute to Tim Collins and his new mates, Chief Cody passes them and enters the office of Captain Jellybone.
Oh, don't get up, Captain. Just stopped in to see how things are going.
Well, you're always welcome, Chief.
Rested up after last night? That was a first-rate piece of work.
Well, it's wearing, though. 5 hours we worked over that youngster. Before we knew for sure he'd be able to breathe for himself.
These drowning accidents. Well, you brought him around. Tell me, how's young Collins making out? Can he take it?
If he's a chip off the old block, he'll take it fine.
Yeah, when your boys have worked with him at a fire, they'll see what he's made of.
Well, you know my boys. They're riding him hard. But I gave him a few hints.
Well, he's got to win his own place, Captain. What kind of, hints?
Listen. Do you hear what I hear?
It sounds like a... look here, Captain, not a fight. I'll have no fighting in the quarters.
Oh, no, Chief. Just a little exercise, a little workout with the gloves there.
Oh.
I told you, young Collins, I told him where they were kept.
So that's one of your little hints, huh?
Hey, it's getting to be hot out there. I wish we could see this.
Well, now, they wouldn't see us if we cracked the door just an inch.
Oh, that's fine. We can see fine. Come on, Hooksy.
Lay it on, boy.
Give me your left, Hooksy. Come on, give me your left. That's it.
Well, now, what's happening out there in the assembly room of the rescue company? Has Tim Collins taken the captain's hint and put on the gloves to box around with one of his tormentors? What does Chief Cody see as he peers through the crack of the door? You'll find out, and you'll learn how Tim wins a place of honor with his new company when you hear our next true-to-life episode of The Firefighters. In just a moment, Chief Bob Cody will tell you, boys and girls, how you can help the firefighters in your own town. But first, here is a message you ought to hear. And now, Chief Bob Cody with a special notice for the Firefighters Brigade. Chief Cody.
Hello, boys and girls. This is Chief Cody with a reminder that a modern fire department offers interesting jobs for every kind of specialist. Hook and ladder men, engine men, members of rescue companies, salvage companies, searchlight companies, and many others. Yes, first of all, every man in the department must be a thoroughly trained firefighter. And he must be able both to think for himself and to obey instantly any order that is thrown at him. Pretty important qualities for any of us, firefighters or not. Don't you think so? Well, goodbye for now. You'll hear from me soon.
Fire Chief Cody and the young rookie fireman Tim Collins will be back on the same station the next time you hear...
That's it. Let's go! Let's go! Firefighters!
Pepsi-Cola, P-E-P-S-I. That's your smartest cola buy. Pepsi-Cola presents Counterspy.
Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy. Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy.
Harding, Counterspy. Calling Washington.
United States Counterspy. Especially appointed to investigate and combat the enemies of our country, both at home and abroad.
Tonight, the case of the Soaring Saucer. A thrilling counter-spy report to the American people. Brought to you each Tuesday and Thursday by delicious Pepsi-Cola. And now, another report to the American people. In your family's interest, listen to these findings. Recently released by the United States Testing Company, Incorporated.
After thorough and impartial tests, Pepsi-Cola proved of highest purity. Pepsi-Cola has more quick food energy and value, ounce for ounce, than any other leading nationally known cola.
Yes, tested, compared against all other leading nationally known cola drinks, Pepsi-Cola won out. You get the best and twice as much in delicious Pepsi-Cola. And now to Counterspy. Separating Mexico from the United States is the Rio Grande River. On the Mexican bank of the river, one dark night early this month, stood a train of pack burros, waiting stolidly as two men astride horses peered into the darkness across the rushing water.
It's clear, Pedro. No border patrol, no counter spies.
Good, Senor Barca.
All the borough drivers got guns, Pedro?
Yes, but I think they don't shoot so good.
Well, if there's any trouble, they better try. Come on, let's go.
Sí. Hombres, vamos en el río. Pronto, pronto.
Yeah. Pedro, what's the matter?
It's all right, Senor Bat. Burrow just stumbled a bit.
All right, stay where you are.
What?
United States Counterspy and Border Patrol.
Look, Senor. Men, they climb out of the ground like prairie dogs.
They dug foxholes and covered them. Come on, Pedro, back to the Mexican side.
No, it's no use, Senor. See, the Mexican rurales.
We're penned in.
Stay where you are. Drop your weapons in the river and ride out with your hands in the air.
Oh, Senor.
No good, Pedro. From here on out, it's every man for himself. The rest of you better start shooting with me.
Come on, men. Don't let a single one escape.
This is Harding, Peters. Report.
The raid was successful in general, Chief. We took close to $2 million worth of narcotics that was being carried in the packs of the burros. But the leader escaped.
Any clue to his identity?
No, Dave. The men we did capture were only minor members of the ring. They're being questioned now.
All right, Peters. You stay on the job there. I'll be down as soon as the Counterspy budget for next year has been approved.
When will that be, Chief?
About 2 days. But don't hold off on any action for me. We want that ringleader. And we want him fast.
Come in, Bart.
Hello, Mr. Valdez.
Where have you been? Filthy. You look like a tramp.
What do you expect, Claude? I've been on the run for a day and a night. I'm lucky I escaped at all.
I assume naturally that no one followed you here?
You can rest easy. I did 6 miles across open sagebrush country before I headed here for your hacienda. There was no one on my trail. Well, I take it you already know.
The radio and papers were full of it. $2 million of our merchandise taken, 2 men dead, 3 captured.
Hey, what gives with you, Claude? You're not very upset for a man who's lost $2 million?
One must expect losses in our business. Besides, I half expected something like this to happen sooner or later, when we use such a primitive mode of transportation as burros.
Maybe, but they've gotten a lot of snow across for us.
True, my friend, true. But I have devised, perfected, and am now ready to use a much more modern, I might even say futuristic mode of transportation.
Oh? What is this new method? Where is it?
At Tia Puma's ranch in the Sonora country.
Tia Puma? Are we dealing with that old vulturess again?
Yes. I'll have horses ready in the morning, and we'll call on Tia Puma tomorrow.
Good to see you, Chief. The car's over here. Peters, how's it going? Turn up anything? Very little. To develop it needs an undercover job. Go on. All we got out of questioning the 3 smugglers we took was one name. Tia Puma. Tia Puma? Sounds pretty savage. Captain Alvarez of the Mexican Morales says she's mixed up in every type of crime known to man, and a few that she invented herself. Must be some girl. If you consider a woman of 72 a girl. 72? Mm-hmm. With the delightful habit of keeping 2 pumas, mountain lions, as house pets. Nothing more than pets? Well, according to the captain, enemies of Tia Puma have a disconcerting habit of turning up dead on lonely mountain roads. Clawed to death by mountain lions. A unique method of murder. It should certainly leave very little evidence. That's the captain's chronic complaint. Of course, it's unnatural. Pumas never attack a man unless cornered or penned up with him. I hope I won't find out, Chief. Well, if you're going undercover to meet the lady, you may, so we'd better be prepared. Any suggestions will be gratefully accepted. Well, I have a few, but they'll keep till we get the feel of us.
Oh, I take it she's located in Mexico, huh?
In the state of Sonora.
In that case, we'd better set up a method of radio communication for you before you call on Tia Puma and her two lovely pets.
I see your pretties are as charming as ever, Tia Puma.
Yes, Senor Valdez. I keep them happy. They keep me happy.
Happy?
What is the matter, Senor Corning? They make you nervous.
They don't make me comfortable.
Rest assured, Senor Bart. They will not do nothing unless Tia Puma tells them to.
I hope you're right. Now, Claude, where's this futuristic mode of transportation for smuggling you were talking about?
In the stables of Tia Puma. Everything is prepared, Tia?
Si, everything. Bueno, shall we go?
Si. Come on, Bart.
In the stables? What the devil is it, a flying horse?
Close, Bart. Only my method is a little more advanced. It's a flying saucer. There they are, Bart. What do you think of them?
They're screwy-looking things. How they work?
I shall explain it. Tia, do you have a shipment ready to go?
Si, Senor Valdez. 5 pounds in that container over there. But it is the last we got.
Ah, yes? A job for you, Bart. We'll need more.
I'll get plenty.
Good. Tia, go to the control room and push the button that slides back the stable roof.
Si, Senor.
Okay, Claude, start talking.
As you see, Bart, there are 20 of these discs or saucers here.
Mm-hmm.
They are all 10 feet in diameter and 3 feet thick.
Now, don't tell me you can fill the whole thing with snow.
No. They each carry about 5 pounds of narcotics, just what we've got here. The rest of the space is taken up with a radio operating mechanism.
How they fly?
It's the same principle as a helicopter. You see those fins on the top and the bottom of each saucer?
Yeah, I see.
They give it the lift and drive to sustain the saucer in the air. We'll launch them by rocket power, which sends them flying into the air spinning. Then the radio mechanism, controlled from this board here, takes over.
Look, are you sure all this will work?
It has on the models I've made.
Models?
Today we test the first one in actual use.
And tell me this, where are you going to land it?
I have 2 receiving stations set up in Texas.
Hey, what's that?
The roof. Look. It parts in the middle.
Well, that's quite a gimmick.
Bart, see this little door on the top of the disc?
Yeah.
It opens. So, a cargo compartment. Hand me that package of goods.
There you are.
It fits in neatly. So, close the door. And we're ready to make delivery.
And you launch it from this platform it's on?
Yes. See underneath? A rocket attached.
And how do you set that up?
From the control board by an electrical charge. Come on. Ready, Bart?
Yeah.
This thing makes quite a noise. That's why we're using Tia's ranch. No near neighbors.
I was wondering. All right. Go ahead, Claude. Set her off.
All right. To a new era in smuggling.
Oh, brother, it's practically out of sight already.
Yes. Now we'll set the radio control. The rocket attachment will drop off. And our flying saucer is on its way.
This is your local newscaster with some more on the latest outbreak of flying saucer stories. Millie Seabour over El Paso way reports she saw one while hanging out the family wash. big and black, says she. Another report on the saucers comes from Bill Lansing, a crop-dusting pilot. Small and shiny, says he. Well, variety is the spice of life, says we. Seriously, though, the Army Air Force has asked us to broadcast a request that all persons seeing or thinking they see the objects described as flying saucers get in touch with them at the San Antonio Air Base. The Air Force has been conducting an investigation for the past 2 years, either to set these stories at rest or confirm their validity. They'd welcome your cooperation. Now a brief summary of the activity.
Peters to David Harding in San Antonio. Peters to David Harding in San Antonio.
Go ahead, Peters.
Chief, I think I've made contact with the narcotics ring.
Through Tia Puma?
Not directly, but I met a man named Bart Corning in this Mexican village, and he's taking me out to her ranch tomorrow.
What angle did you use?
I said my name was Pete Crane, and I was peddling snow. Apparently, the ring is in short supply, so this guy Corning was glad to latch on to me.
Nice going, Peters. You have any idea of the exact location of the ranch?
It's somewhere up in the Sierra Mountains, Dave, near the headwaters of the Calixto River. It's supposed to be the only place for miles around.
Well, can you get a map of that region and indicate the general area?
Sure, Chief.
Radio it up here. I'll have an aerial reconnaissance made of the terrain.
Okay.
And let's set up a target time for you to report back. Say, 4 p.m. tomorrow.
All right, Dave. 4 p.m. it is.
And watch yourself. You're walking into the lion's mouth, Peter. Don't let it close on you.
In a moment, back to Counterspy, presented by delicious Pepsi-Cola.
Pepsi-Cola, it's a spot. 2 full glasses, that's a lot. Twice as much and better, too.
Yes, twice as much and better, too. You know Pepsi gives you twice as much. You know Pepsi's better, tastes better. But I want to make sure you know which cola drink is of proven highest quality. Listen. Impartial tests were made comparing all the leading nationally known colas. And here's the news. Delicious Pepsi was rated tops for quick food energy and honest-to-goodness value, ounce for ounce. Yes, more value and quick food energy in every tasty sip of Pepsi. That's why Pepsi's so refreshing. Why you feel so good. Why you're on the beat. Why people call Pepsi their favorite treat. When the quality's proved tops and the taste is so delightful. So refreshing that you bubble and the quantity is double. Say, is it any wonder Pepsi's America's big, big favorite? Insist on tasty Pepsi wherever you may be. At the fountain, say, Pepsi, please. At the stand, say, Pepsi, please. And at the store, get Pepsi in the money-saving carton of 6 big bottles. How about getting a carton tonight of delicious Pepsi-Cola?
Delicious Pepsi-Cola, delicious Pepsi-Cola, delicious Pepsi-Cola, delicious Pepsi-Cola.
Now back to Counterspy.
Here's the place, Pete. Tia Puma's ranch.
Lonely enough, Bud.
Come on.
Good to stretch your legs after that ride. Hey, what?
Tia, call him off.
No, Senor Bob. You know my pets won't hurt you.
I don't like those things running around loose.
Make that double in spades for me.
And this, I take it, is the Senor Pete Crane you say you bring out.
That's right, Tia. He wants to do business with us.
But do we have to do it with those pussycats looking over our shoulders?
I'm afraid so, Senor Crane. They are my pets and my protection. An old woman like me is at the mercy of anyone with strength.
Not with those brutes around. Come on, let's go out in the house.
With pleasure. House cats, are they?
Yes, Senor Crane.
All right, come on, Tia. Let's get down to business.
Bueno, this way, Senor. The living room.
Hello, Bart. Hi, Claude. This is the guy who has goods for sale. Pete Crane. Claude Valdez.
Hello.
How do you do, sir? A cold drink, perhaps? The ride up here is long and dusty.
Thanks. I'll have some too, Claude.
Just how much goods do you have, Mr. Crane?
8 pounds.
Cut or uncut? Your drink, Mr. Crane.
Uncut. Thanks.
A tidy fortune. Refreshing.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Crane, what price are you asking for this?
Well, what about telling me what you charge to get the stuff across? Oh, my head. I feel dizzy.
I commend you, Thea. A very potent drug.
Thank you, senor.
Hey, Claude, why the knockout drops?
They're harmless. And just sleep for 12 or 14 hours.
Well, you think he's a phony?
I haven't the slightest idea, Bart. But I don't believe in taking chances. Search him.
Sure. His wallet. Yeah, it says Pete Crane, all right. Pocket comb, handkerchief. Tube of some kind of hand cream.
Huh? Fastidious. Let him keep it. Is that all?
Yeah. And now what if he's going to be out for half the day?
It will give me time to get back to my hacienda and check him in my law-abiding rogues gallery.
That thing again.
What do you say, that thing? I think it's rather clever of me. Since the law maintains pictures of all known criminals, why shouldn't a criminal maintain pictures of all known law officials?
Harding speaking.
Oh, Mr. Harding, I'm very glad you're in San Antonio.
Who is this?
Colonel Henshaw of the Army Air Force.
Oh, yes, Colonel. What can I do for you?
You're down here on a narcotics smuggling case?
That's right, Colonel. How do you know?
I called your Washington office, and they told me.
Oh?
You see, the Air Force has been investigating the latest outbreak of flying saucer stories. I think our paths cross.
Go on, Colonel.
Well, if you come out here to the field, Mr. Harding, I can show you better than tell you.
Well, I'm expecting a message, but I'll have it transferred out to the field. All right, Colonel, I'll be out in 15 minutes.
Here we are, Mr. Harding. This is the hangar. Now, look over there. The object on the floor.
What is it?
A flying saucer.
What?
One of our pilots was out on a target practice flight. He saw it and reported it to the field right away. I ordered him to shoot it down if he could. He could.
It's a queer-looking contraption. All those fins sticking out on it.
Well, that's what sustained it in flight. But, let's look at this.
A little compartment.
And this package of white powder was in it.
Let me see that.
There you are. Narcotics. That's what our medical officer said. And we've examined the workings of this disc. It's radio controlled.
This is incredible. Using a flying saucer to smuggle narcotics into the country.
Well, whoever designed this device knew his aeronautics.
And psychology. Using the most publicized thing in the country to cover up the smuggling.
Well, that's your department, Mr. Harding. I just thought maybe the message you're expecting, Mr. Harding.
Oh.
They knew we were in this hangar.
Thank you, Colonel. I'll take it. Hello? Yes, this is Harding. Oh, no word yet, huh? It's almost 5 p.m. No, we won't wait any longer. Contact the Mexican ruralist, Captain Alvarez. That's right. Ask him to move as quickly as possible. Right, and tell him I'm flying down immediately.
A little more water, Bart, and not so gentle.
You sure you're right, Claude?
This gentleman's face was as big as life in my private rogues gallery of police. Harry Peters, Counterspy.
Yeah, I think he's coming around.
The drug should be wearing off.
Well. Oh.
Hello.
What?
Balthus. Bart. What? You've been enjoying a somewhat induced sleep, Mr. Peters.
Sleep? But how...
Yes, you heard right. I called you Mr. Peters.
I was afraid you did.
Thank you for not insulting my intelligence by denying your identity.
Don't mention it. Is that gun going to induce some more sleep?
Nothing as crude as that, Mr. Peters. Bart, tell Pia to bring down one of her pets to the guest room.
Okay, Claude.
I gather I'm going to have an accident.
Something like that, Mr. Peters. Now, if you'll just start walking, I'll show you to your room at the end of this corridor.
It's comfortable, I hope.
Quiet, yes. But it will have some drawbacks shortly.
I imagine so.
You know, I regret this very much.
I'm sure you do.
Not your death, of course, but the fact that you're finding us makes it necessary for us to move.
I'm sorry to have been such a bother.
Oh, don't apologize. We all have our duties. All right, Mr. Peters. You can stop and lift the latch on the door, please. Your quarters, Mr. Peters.
Rather sparsely furnished and badly lighted. Only one window. With bars.
True. But your roommate, who will arrive shortly, doesn't care very much about furniture and sees very well in the dark. Inside, Mr. Peters.
Heavy walls. Thick door.
Soundproof. I so dislike death screams. Inside, please. Pleasant dreams, Mr. Peters.
Senor Valdez, he's in there.
Yes, Tia.
It will be such sport for my pet, my angel.
Let's get it over with. We have to get out of here.
Of course, Bart. Call some of our men in the village. Have them bring us a truck to carry the saucers and radio equipment away from here. I'll have Tia pack anything that might identify us, and we'll leave as soon as the trucks arrive.
Okay, Claude.
Hey, you ready, Tia?
Yes. Yes. Bueno, my angel. There is a prize for you in there. You've earned it, my pet. All right, Senor Valdez. Open the door. Go, my angel.
Now, I think we can leave Mr. Peters in peace.
Claude, I burned all the papers in the cellar incinerator. Didn't I hear the trucks drive up?
Yes, I've been busy packing this equipment with Tia's help. All right, you go out and show them what to do.
What's the matter with that devil? Is he jealous of his buddy?
All the excitement makes him nervous.
Never mind him, Bart. Go out to the trucks. We want to get out of here as soon as possible.
Okay, wait.
All right, all of you. What is... Stand where you are.
Cops.
Captain Alvarez, this is Mr. Harding. Will you watch that?
Look out, Mr. Harding.
Oh, my pet! My pet!
You're not getting me.
Alvarez, he's got a gun. You will not escape, Mr. Harding. Look, your lady has fainted over the body of that mountain lion.
And this one here is taking it all rather calmly.
And why not, Mr. Harding? I'm a fatalist.
You know me, then perhaps you know Harry Peters.
I've met him.
Where is he?
I'm afraid, Mr. Harding, that for once the Marines arrived too late. You'll find Mr. Peters in the room at the end of the corridor.
Captain Alvarez, keep this man covered.
It would be a pleasure, Mr. Harding.
Peters, Pete.
Well, that's one way of getting rid of a roommate.
Well, it's obvious the creamed oil of Anna's work.
Oh, am I glad you had that idea, Dave. Can't you smell the place? It's like a licorice factory.
How'd you use it?
Well, they locked me in the room first, so I immediately took out the tube of creamed oil of anise and spread it all over the floor and on the walls.
Yeah?
When they let the puma in, he bounced in, got the smell of the anise, and stopped. In a few minutes, he was purring like a kitten. I stood in the corner and left him strictly alone.
That's how I can imagine.
Well, I guess it was the sudden sight of you and that gun that turned him into an attacker again.
It's a good thing we set a target time for you to report back. I might not have gotten here.
But you did, Dave.
And that's what counts. Now let's get out of here and mop up the remains of this flying saucer smuggling ring.
Pepsi-Cola. Bring it on now. Enjoy that bubbling, tangy, tasty treat. Sure hits the spot. At parties, it's a wonderful idea to serve delicious Pepsi. That extra quick food energy gives folks that bounce, that zing. And Pepsi's big 12-ounce bottles go twice as far. You get a carton of 6 bottles, and you serve 12 full-size drinks. So save that money. Get the best. And get twice as much in delicious Pepsi-Cola.
Pepsi-Cola, it's the spot. 2 full glasses, that's a lot. Twice as much and better too. Pepsi is the drink for you.
That's it, delicious Pepsi-Cola. Tune in every Tuesday and Thursday, same time, same station, to Counterspy. Listen on Thursday for the exciting Case of the Crystalline Double Cross.
When the world's most valuable diamond and a beautiful woman both disappeared, a huge reward was offered for the thief, alive or dead. We feared the effect of that reward on the underworld, and until the last moment hardly suspected the one person who really tried to collect it. Listen on Thursday to
The Case of the Crystalline Double Cross on Counterspy. Tonight's Counterspy program originated in New York and was directed by Leonard L. Bass, dramatized by Palmer Thompson, and featured Don McLaughlin and Mandel Kramer with music by Jesse Crawford. This is Jay Jackson speaking. Counterspy is a Philip H. Lord production for Pepsi-Cola. Enjoy some delicious Pepsi tonight.
Get this and get it straight. Crime's a sucker's road. And those who travel it wind up in the gutter, the prison, or the grave. There's no other end, but they never learn. This one had soft brown eyes and an accent, and she came to town with a job to do. But before it was done, death had struck 3 times. Then she was gone. And all because of 30 drops of Pigeons Blood, worth $150,000.
From the pen of Raymond Chandler, outstanding author of mystery, comes his most famous character and crime's most deadly enemy, as we present The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. Now, with Gerald Moore, starred as Philip Marlowe, we bring you tonight's exciting story, The Pigeons Blood.
At 5 o'clock of any weekday afternoon, the lobby of the started building in downtown Los Angeles is a mess of milling office workers. So I was 10 impolite minutes peering into chattering faces before I found my new client, Charlene Danielle. When she'd called me an hour ago, her slight French accent had been coated with worry, as she identified herself as an illustrator for a fashion magazine with offices in the building, and said that she needed help. She was huddled in a shadowed far corner of the lobby like a frightened puppy, going through his first thunderstorm. When I was close to her, she stepped into the light and hurriedly took my arm.
I am glad you didn't disappoint me, Mr. Marlowe. Come along, please, quickly. There's a bar just across the lobby where we can talk.
All right.
Come along, please. It's already late.
Soft, lustrous hair that was shingled into 1,000 short curls which kept running into one another framed a beautiful face. and a wisp of a smile that never seemed to leave her lips labeled her gentle people. I couldn't quite get over it. When we were inside the bar and seated at a table, she was still talking. I was still thinking how lovely she was.
Mr. Marlowe, are you listening?
Oh, yes, of course I am.
Yes. Now, what I want you to do is simple but very, very important. It must be done at once.
Easy, honey. That's not going to help any. Now, one step at a time. What is it, Charlene?
I'm sorry. It's a terrible man named Marty Loomis. He lives here in Los Angeles on North Rossmore Street, number 7710, a private house. He is the one who had the collection stolen from Vivian's father. I know he is...
Hey, wait a minute. Whoa. Slow around the corners, huh? Now, first of all, what's the collection of?
Rubies, Mr. Marlowe. Rare Pigeons Blood rubies. Exquisite ones. The 30 of them worth at least, the very least, $150,000.
Tell me, are all the rubies as lovely as you are?
Please, Mr. Marlowe.
Okay. Who's Vivian?
My best friend, the girl I grew up with in Lyon. She's still in France, but I got out before the war to Mexico and Ensenada. Some friends at the Riviera Pacifico helped me to get to California. Vivian and her father, Maurice Jardot, an old man now. They lost everything they had, family, a home, their business, and then they had only the rubies left.
Which should bring us to this guy Loomis, huh?
It does. Mr. Marlowe, he was in France only last month, a guest in the Jardot home. A charming American businessman who was going to buy the rubies.
But who just wouldn't say when. Tell me, Charlene, did anybody actually see him take the stones?
No, but there's no doubt that he did it, Mr. Marlowe. He was one of the few persons who knew where Monsieur Jardot kept them.
What about the police?
Oh, no, Mr. Marlowe, not yet. Only when we know that Loomis still has the stones, when we know where the rubies are. You see, any hurried arrest would only mean that the jewels would be gotten rid of, gone forever.
Why isn't Vivian here, Monsieur Jardot?
I told you. He is an old man, a broken man, and they are penniless. The rubies were going to be sold. That's why this Loomis was visiting with them. Now, please, Mr. Marlowe, can you do this for me? Can you find out where the jewels are? It would mean so much if we can return them. So much.
Yeah. Where can I find you later, Charlene?
I live at the Bradford Arms. The telephone number is Sunset 10229.
10229.
Now, what is your fee, please?
Well, we'll talk about it later, huh?
All right. You are kind. I only hope that later isn't too far away.
For Monsieur Jardot's sake?
Why, yes, for everybody's sake. Good luck.
Somehow or another, I managed to stop at all the red lights and go on all the green ones and not hit anyone all the way from downtown L.A., where I'd left Charlene, up into Hollywood and over to Marty Loomis's house at 7710 North Rossmore. Parking a half a block away, I stood looking at the rambling white house, vintage 1915. I was startled into action by a wiry, white-haired old boy in search of a match. After a quick servicing job, I moved up to the door. As I knocked on a massive display of aging oak, I decided that Marlowe should play the role of crooked jeweler to ease the entrance. When the door finally opened and an ox in Sherney blue serge answered, I wasn't too happy with my choice of roles. A big club would have been better.
Yeah? What do you want?
Marty Loomis. Is he in?
Who's asking questions?
The name's Becker. A mutual friend recommended me to him.
Does Lefty know about this?
He should. Why don't you ask him?
Okay. Come on in. Relax while I find out.
Thanks. Any place in particular?
Yeah. Flat on your back, big mouth. And don't bother going for your gun. I'll do it for you. Nice 38 at that. Now, your wallet. Lefty. Thought you were picking up your cue fast, didn't you, Mr... Oh, Marlowe, huh? Private detective. What were you thinking about when you bit, Big Mouth? Something nice and calico?
You're warm, Buster. My mistake. Where do we go from here?
You, no place. Till I make a phone call. Excuse me.
Big jerk.
Westwood 9903. Yeah. My number? Gladstone, 2742. This won't take long, Marlowe, then you and I can... Oh, hello, Tony. Oh, it's Chalky. No, I looked every place. No, honey, I tell you the stuff just ain't here, but something else is. A private dick named Marlowe. Well, I don't know. Yeah, probably one of that stinking Slater's boys. But you don't have to worry about Marlowe. So long, babe.
Your mother, Chalky?
Listen, Louse, I got one question to ask you, and I want a straight answer fast. Are you working for Zig Slater?
I don't remember.
Well, that's too bad. You know, I might have to get nasty if you don't cooperate.
Doesn't much make any difference whether I cooperate or not. Let's face it, huh, Chalky?
All right. Let's do it! Just... Big mouth.
By the time I sorted my legs out from those that belonged to the coffee table, Chalky was gone. But in his wake, there were three things that a very fast, superficial search revealed. My gun in the hall outside empty, next to the door my wallet intact, and near the overturned coffee table a pawn ticket from the Ryan Loan Company, corner Hill and 8th. Receipt for one gray topcoat, right sleeve ripped, allowing $7.50. I dropped it in my pocket, then put through a call to one Lieutenant Ibarra at police headquarters. In a few minutes, I knew that Zig Slater was a fence who had done time twice on stolen property charges, and at present could be found in or around a shop on La Cienega Boulevard near Melrose, where he sold, of all things, tropical fish. I hung up and started out of the door for my car. But in less than 50 feet, I knew I wasn't alone. My shadow was the shock of white hair who earlier had stopped me for a match. It was his turn to be surprised when I suddenly wheeled, grabbed at both his lapels, and shook. Well,
what are you doing? No rubber, Pop. Believe me, I just want to rearrange your marbles.
Now, listen. So when you start talking, it comes out straight. Now, why are you following me? And tell me you need me another match. Come on.
I'm calling you because I want to warn you.
About what?
A giant of a man I just saw near your car.
In a beat-up blue Surge, maybe?
Yeah, that's right. You see, I live across the street, and after you gave me that match, I took my regular evening walk, but when I got back, I saw this man, this giant. He was going to let the air out of your tires, I know, but I stopped him. Yes, sir. I yelled at him real loud, and he ran away. He cursed me first. Oh, now, aren't you sorry you shook me like you did?
Yeah, I am. I'd let you shake me back, but there isn't time, Pop.
Well, no matter, fella. I guess I can figure it all right. I mean, the way you're acting must be a beautiful girl behind this someplace. Always is, right?
Right. Just to make sure she stays that way, you'll excuse me, but I got to see a man about some tropical fish. So long, Pop. Zig Slater's place on La Cienega was 3 walls, lined almost solid with bubbling tanks that were home for the kind of screwy-looking fish that made you wonder what they could possibly see with a bad case of DTs. Slater was small and slight, with black darting eyes that were too large for the rest of his face, which was prune-winkled, shaped like a Coke bottle, and had all the come-hither look of an octopus. He was on the phone. It wasn't until I was close enough to hear the number he was after that I was glad he was having trouble.
That was the wrong number.
Because it was the same digit arrangement that Chalky had called earlier, and prefixed Westwood as well.
No, operator, I did not call 9933. It was Westwood 9903. That's right. 03, yeah. Stupid people. Hello, Toby. It's Ziggy, darling. Where have you been? I tried to reach you half a dozen times. A walk, oh. Oh, well, look, baby. You meet me over at... Wait a minute. Lost something, mister?
Why, yes. As a matter of fact, I have. One of my twin swordtails died. I was just admiring yours here. I'd like to buy one.
I'll be right with you.
Oh.
Meet me at the Blue Chip in 30 minutes, huh, sweet? Now, don't worry, I'm a little bit late. I got a few things to do first. Right. Goodbye, baby. Swordtails, mister, are $1.10, $1.35, and $1.80. What'll it be?
What? They started at $1.10?
Uh-huh.
At the last place, I only paid 90 cents for a swordtail. Good one, too.
Then maybe you better go back to the last place, huh?
Well, maybe I had. Good night, sir. I was outside in my car and pointed toward the Blue Chip, which was an ex-speakeasy on Santa Monica Boulevard that had quite never gotten over it. I knew that I had something to work on before it was time to call Charlene and report that so far I had located neither the Rubies nor Marty Loomis. With luck, I could have words with Toby at the Blue Chip before Slater arrived. So 20 minutes later, when I was there and seated at an all-alone table for two, drink in front of me, I looked up at the sound of high heels clicking toward me and the 5.5 feet of blonde that grew out of them in wraparound suede. When I called Toby by name and she pivoted like she was built on a hinge, I was back in business.
I don't know you. What do you want?
If it's handy, Chalky's telephone number.
You're Marlowe, aren't you?
Yes, and private detective you ordered bounced around. Now, let's not waste any more of each other's time, Toby. Where's Marty Loomis?
Oh, sorry. I never heard of him.
Or the Pigeon Blood rubies?
Who are you working for, Marlowe?
Don't you remember? I'm one of Slater's boys.
You're a liar.
Not a double-crosser, Toby.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
And when you're on the phone with Chalky, Brother Ziggy is referred to as the stinking Slater. But when Slater's on with you, it's sugar and spice all the way around.
Which means what?
That you're not even close to being on the level with one of them. I discount Chalky because his kind you hire, pay, and forget.
When the job's done, Marlowe, so behave. He's right outside that back door.
It's a little thoughtless of you, isn't it, Toby? The lad's topcoats in hockey might catch cold. That I'd hate to see.
I'll bet. Now look, Marlowe, once more. What are you after?
1, rubies. 2, Marty Loomis.
And if I can't help you find either of them?
Then I go to Slater.
On whose behalf?
My client, who represents the real owner of the stones.
Named what?
It escapes me, Toby. Let's just call her a lovely lady from France, huh?
From France?
Hmm.
For a minute, I thought you were on the side of law and order.
What's his different?
Marty Loomis is dead, Marlowe. Has been all night in the closet of his study at 7710 North Rossmore.
What?
And just so you don't miss the point, one thing more. I found the body. But first, outside, I found something else. Running away, it was a girl, Marlowe. A girl with a French accent.
In just a moment, the second act of Philip Marlowe. But first, for those who delight in the fast action and faster thinking that thwart the evildoer, CBS brings you 3 outstanding examples every Sunday. The Green Llama brings you the adventures of wealthy young Jethro Dumont, who uses his knowledge of the mysterious East to combat evil doings on this side of the Pacific. Call the Police summons Police Commissioner Bill Grant to trail the objectionable offender and bring him to justice. Sam Spade, well, what need to enlarge upon the extraordinary exploits of Dashiell Hammett's brilliant Private Eye, hero of the Maltese Falcon, and many other crime classics. You can find these thrilling examples of mystery adventure delight every Sunday on most of these CBS stations. And now, with our star, Gerald Moore, we return to the second act of Philip Marlowe and tonight's story, The Pigeons Blood.
When Toby said French accent, it rocked me right back on my heels. I stood there with my mouth open, trying to reconcile death in a closet with the soft, deep brown of Charlene's eyes, while the blonde in front of me twisted her mouth into a victorious smile tender as a cobra's. I got up and went out the front way, dragging what was left of my pride behind me. I had to know the truth about Charlene, so I called her. She answered on the first ring, and I made my pitch. I said I thought I knew where the rubies were hidden and told her to meet me at 7710 Rossmore. Then I drove to Rossmore and waited, and 5 minutes later a cab stopped down the street. And she got out. So I went to meet her.
Marlowe, is that you?
Yeah. Come on, this way, Charlene.
Are they here, Marlowe? In this house? The rubies, I mean.
We'll find out, baby. Come on.
But you
Side
said
door's open. I said I wasn't sure, and I'm not. About a lot of things. Here, watch the stairs. You should lead to the study.
Yes.
You still with me?
I'm coming.
Yeah. This is it. Okay, Charlene. Now, if I've been lied to, this is the place to check. We'll start with that closet there.
The closet?
Yes, open it up. Go on, open it.
All right. No, I can't.
You can't because you already know what's inside, don't you? Well, I'll open it for you.
No. Oh, I didn't do it. I didn't.
You knew he was there, so he must have been in here before.
Yes, I was. I admit it. I tried to see Loomis myself this afternoon. I followed him downtown, but I lost him. When I got back here, I came in and I found him like that. I didn't know what to do. I called you, but then I lied to you because I was afraid.
You're still afraid, so maybe you're still lying.
No, this time is the truth, I swear.
All of it? You're not holding anything back?
No, that's all of it. Oh, Phil, please don't force me. Please, you must.
Yeah.
What was that?
What was what?
I thought I heard a door close. I must be jumpy. I guess. May I have a cigarette?
Yeah.
Oh, you dropped something. Why, it's a pawn ticket.
Oh. Yeah, it's my brains, can't you tell?
The Ryan Loan Company, corner Hill Street and 8th. At Hill and 8th.
Don't worry about it, Charlene. It's not mine. Belongs to a guy named Chalky who had to hock his winter wardrobe to keep himself in hamburgers. Forget it. You want that cigarette or not?
Not now. Come on, Bill. Let's get out of this room. Come on, please. Bill, there is someone here. A shadow moved on that wall of the back hall.
Hey, you're right. Now, listen, you beat it out that side door. Go back to your hotel and wait there. I'll see who this is.
I want to stay with you.
Oh, now get out of here. Hurry.
Be careful, Sheriff.
All right, creep, crawl out of the woodwork. Come on. I know you're present because you left your shadow sticking out. Right about here.
Ow!
Well. Slimy little sword-tail salesman himself. What are you doing here?
Well, I'll tell you, Marlowe, I'm just...
So you got my name, too, huh?
And more. From a short talk with a platinum blonde named Toby.
Who you fencing for, Slater, her or Loomis?
Fencing? You find things out, don't you? Well, I didn't want to do it. I've been going straight since I got paroled, but legitimate business has been lousy.
So when Loomis wanted you to arrange a deal, you took him up, huh?
Yeah, but right away it got too hot. I had it all set until that blonde started cutting in on Loomis. I don't go for that. Nobody's got a chance in a double cross. For instance, I know what's in the closet, see? And Toby's the one that put him there. She told me.
Toby killed him? Did she have the stones?
I don't know. I guess so. Because she was trying to make me go through with the deal. But I turned her down. Then I had to sap that gorilla Chalky to get away.
Ah, it's good, but it won't fit, Slater. Why'd you come back here?
To clean up the joint. With my record, all it would take is for my phone number, even my initials to turn up here, and I'm cooked.
Where does Toby live?
If I tell you, will you give me a break?
You'll tell me anyway and fast, or I'll give you a break on the side of your head. Let's have it talk.
Okay. 3156 South Ogden Drive, Apartment C. Now, how about it, pal? Will you forget you saw me here?
You louse, you're whining because things got tough. If they hadn't, you'd be getting calluses from counting money. You're a crummy spider, Slater, so stay out of my way. Because next time we meet, I'll step on you. The little man rolled his big head up at me and grinned. I looked at it a minute, then shoved it hard to one side and walked out. The way things stood, I figured the next move, which was mine, had to be first a call to the police to report Loomis's murder, and second a fast pressure play on a faster blonde named Toby. But I was wrong on both counts because I was halfway to my car when I found out the next move wasn't mine at all. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught a shadow easing toward me under the cover of the hedge. It was the white-haired duffer again, and the setup was just like before. So I saw no reason why the same maneuver wouldn't work twice. I slowed down to give him plenty of time. When I was sure he was right behind me, I turned fast and swung at thin air.
How many times do you think you can pull that stunt, son?
Okay, it was my mistake.
Yes, it was. And don't move because my gun goes off. I want to ask you a few things.
I don't feel talkative.
Who are you? And what's your racket, son?
Philip Marlowe, private detective. What's yours?
That doesn't happen to be any of your business, son. Let's just say I'm looking for one Vivian Jardot. Happen to know where she is?
Vivian Jardot? Sure. Right now she's in France, Lyon to be specific.
Yeah, she's in France right now, like you're in Madagascar. Save yourself trouble, son. Where is she?
You know, you wouldn't know the truth if it fell on you.
What's your angle, Marlowe?
Oh, come on. Let's not be coy. It's the same as yours, a fistful of rubies.
Well, now, you don't say. And I suppose that's why Vivian Jardot's been following Loomis around all afternoon.
Vivian again. You won't turn loose, will you?
Now, listen, son. The Jardot dame is here in town. I happen to know she hopped off a Norwegian freighter. I finally picked her up right here. She was tagging Loomis, and I tagged her. We played Ring Around the Rosie clear downtown. I lost him in a traffic jam, but I picked up Loomis again for a few minutes at the corner of Hill and 8th. The Jardot girl I lost...
Wait a minute. Did you say Loomis was at Hill and 8th?
Yes, that's right. Why?
Because I know a guy who'll give $6 for a gray topcoat on that corner.
So what?
So whoever said you can't teach an old dog new tricks was nuts, wasn't it? That one's called slap the pistol and bust the old geezer. Sorry, Pop, it had to be. I got business that won't keep. So long. I ran my car, piled in, and headed down Wilshire Boulevard wide open. Because anyway I looked at it, Ryan's pawn parlor at Hill and 8th was home plate, and the time I'd spent gabbing with Pop, there was a good chance that blood was already being spilled on an old gray topcoat with a lining full of rubies. And when I remembered Charlene had walked out with a pawn ticket for that coat in her hand, I got a little sick. When I got to Hill and 8th, I spotted Ryan's place squeezed into a 4-foot crevice between two tall buildings and dark inside. I cut my lights, parked, reloaded my .38, and walked up the alley to the back door. It was standing open a foot, and inside a flashlight was lying on a table while moving in and out of its beam as she clawed through a rack of second-hand topcoats was Charlene. At her feet, face up on the floor with a nasty gash over one eye, was a man who no doubt used to answer to the name of Ryan. I eased the door open another foot and went in. I got as far as the glow of light before she saw me.
Bill! Oh, no.
Why'd you slug him, honey? You had the ticket. You could have just...
She didn't slug him, Marlowe. I did.
Slater.
Yeah, don't turn around. Just toss your gun back here. Come on. That's it. Well, that takes care of everybody now. We're all here so we can get back to work.
Aren't you forgetting Toby and a trained ape?
No, Toby can't make it. And Chalky won't without her. She can't make it because she's dead. I found a nice closet for her, too. Oh, I told you a fib when I said she killed Loomis. I did that to both of them. Because they were double-crossing me. They were cutting me out of my own deal, and they were laughing about it. I can't stand to have people laugh at me.
It's my fault, Phil. I didn't wait for you. When I realized that Loomis had pawned the coat and not that Chalky, I was sure that he had hidden the rubies in it for safekeeping, so I came here and now...
And so did I, and I caught her. Then I set a little trap for the big, strong man who steps on little spiders. Now you, which coat is it? This one?
No, I don't
Oh,
know.
so it is this one. Well, give it to me.
No, you can't take it. Stay away from me.
Give me that.
Charlene, don't be a fool. Let him have the coat.
No, the rubies in it are mine. They belong to my father. I came halfway around the world to get them and to take them home, and I won't give them up to this grotesque, ugly little man.
What
I
did you
won't.
say? Why,
No,
you...
Get out.
Slater. He's hit, but...
He sure is, son. The door here was as open as an invitation to the old-timers' picnic. I've been listening. Now, don't move now, either one of you. I've still got some business with Miss Vivian Jardot. Hey, come back here.
Charlene! You missed. That's your last chance, believe me, you trigger-happy jerk.
She's out the door. Stand aside, son. I've got to get that girl.
I don't think so.
Whose car is that out there? Yours?
Yeah, with a full tank of gas. What are you grinning about?
Okay, son, she's gone. Girl, coat, and rubies. Got away from both of us, didn't she? And from the look on your face, you're not quite sure whether you've lost or won.
2 hectic hours jammed with phone calls, police reports on Toby and Chalky, and long-winded conversation in general went by before the whole mess of dovetailed motives and overlapping authority was straightened out. To the point where Detective Lieutenant Ibarra decided to get along without us and turned me and my white-haired pal, who I blush to discover was one Sam Harris, 20 years an officer with the Immigration Service, loose on the town again. In Sam's car, we threaded through the traffic.
Big night, wasn't it, son?
Yeah. You know, Sam, you should have told me who you were and saved yourself that swollen jaw.
Yeah, that's all right. In a mix-up like this one was, a few loose teeth are better than a loose tongue any day. All I knew was that Vivian Jardot was an alien who jumped ship. I didn't know a thing about those rubies until I was right in the middle of it.
She just made up the whole story, huh? About being Charlene Danielle and working here as an illustrator?
That's right.
What are you going to do about her, Harris?
Well, son, as it works out, I'm on her side now.
How's that?
She wants to get back to France, and it's my job to see that she does. There won't be any trouble. You know, she's a crazy kid to try what she did alone. But she made up her mind to get her rubies back, and she did.
Yeah.
She's pretty, too. Or did you happen to know it? You're not listening.
I was looking at that medal you got there on your keychain. Pistol Marksmanship Champion, New York Service Range. You know, Harris, when you shot at Charlene tonight, you...
Now, wait a minute, son. It was dark, and that medal is 10 years old. Besides, it's not polite to put a man in a spot where he has to argue with his conscience.
My mistake.
Well, there's your car, exactly where I said it'd be. Right across from the airline passenger gate. Someone who had to make a plane in a hurry must have borrowed it. Amazing, isn't it? Good night, Marlowe.
See you again, Sam. And thanks. When Harris drove away, I walked over to my car and got in. But I didn't start up right away. Instead, I just sat there and thought of a plane fading off somewhere in the night. And a girl from France with soft brown eyes. And remembered that I didn't even get a chance to say goodbye. But then I saw it. The note stuck over the ignition key. Scribbled on an old envelope in hurried pencil. All it said was, "Someday, Sherry. Someday."
Adventures of Philip Marlowe, bringing you Raymond Chandler's most famous character and crime's most deadly enemy, star Gerald Moore, and are produced and directed by Norman MacDonald. Script is by Mel Donnelly, Robert Mitchell, and Gene Levitt. Featured in the cast were Elma Lawton, Edgar Barrier, Gloria Blondell, Herb Butterfield, and Barney Phillips. The special music is by Richard O'Ront. Be sure and be with us again next week when Philip Marlowe says...
Easy money is a sucker's racket. This time it started as a routine search for a rich girl's fiancé, and the trail led to a silent house haunted by a face at the window and blood in an open cedar chest. But before it was over, it became a quest for a corpse that wouldn't sit still.
Oh, will he be in France? The lady took a chance. Hilo the Dane will show. Who could resist romance? You'll be hearing 4 short lines sung sweetly later tonight, and to some bright, lucky CBS listener, they'll be the key to $50,000 in prizes and cash. It's the new Phantom Voice song on CBS's sensational Saturday night Sing It Again program, an hour-long bonanza of prizes, music, and gaiety. Phone calls go out to all the nation asking CBS listeners to solve gay little riddle songs. And for those who guess these riddles, it means a chance at the $50,000 Phantom Award. $25,000 in super prizes for solving the Phantom's identity. $25,000 more in cold cash for answering only one more question about the Phantom. Listen closely when Sing It Again comes to you on most of these same CBS network stations just a little later this evening. This is Roy Rowan speaking. Now, stay tuned for Gangbusters, which follows immediately over most of these same stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
And now, in cooperation with police and federal law enforcement departments throughout the United States, Gangbusters! Program that brings you authentic police case histories has asked John J. Sullivan, former Deputy Commissioner and Chief of Detectives, Police Department, City of New York, to narrate by proxy tonight's case. Commissioner Sullivan.
Thank you, and good evening, Gangbusters listeners. Years of experience have taught police officers one useful factor about criminals. When more than one person is involved in a given crime, the chances of solving that crime increases. Tonight's case involves more than one criminal. It began at 11:40 p.m., the evening of June 15th, 1953. 2 men had just left a waterfront bar on New York's West Street and were walking through a deserted side street.
I'm still worried about it, Soldier. I think you're making a big mistake. And look, it's over 6 months now. Everybody has forgotten, including the cops, so you'll forget it. Huh? It is not so. Look, now, did the soldier ever steer you wrong? Did I?
No.
Well, then you listen to me. Stop worrying, huh? Okay? Here it is. What do you think, huh? Latest model with all the extras, including tubeless tires. Nothing too good for the soldier, huh? What do you think?
A car like that costs a lot of money, Soldier. I thought we were going to wait a year before we spend any of it.
6 months is long enough. You worry too much. Come on, I'll give you a lift home.
No, I walk.
What's the matter? You even too worried to ride it?
Well, it's a nice night. I walk.
Okay, kid. You'll be around in the ship tomorrow.
Oh, sure, soldier. I'll be there.
I really got it this time. This time I'm going to make it right back up to the top.
Sure, soldier.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Carlos La Jolla continued on foot down the block. The district through which he walked consisted of small stores, junk shops, and some boarded-up, dilapidated tenements. They were closed and the street empty, except for a black sedan that came slowly towards him. He stopped by the curb.
You honking for me, mister? You want me? Oh! Help! Help me!
Somebody, please help me.
A shooting with no witnesses. A start from scratch. A local sector car on routine patrol discovered the wounded man on the sidewalk. An ambulance was called. Detectives Fred Bryan and Harry Gomez of the homicide detail took over from there. They went first to the hospital to talk to the injured man.
No identification?
No, nothing, Harry. Room's down this corridor. Doctor says it's okay to see him.
Then we don't even know his name.
Oh, yes, we do. Before they wheel him into emergency, he managed to get that much out. His name is Carlos La Jolla, Lajoya. Gave his address as Dutton Street. I'm having Greenbaum check that.
The report I got before coming down here said 2 shots.
Yeah, that's right. One in the shoulder, the other, the main one through the right lung. Slugs are on the way to ballistics right now.
How's he doing?
Not good. Doctor doesn't give him long. Well, this is the room, Harry. 318.
He's calling for his mother.
Carlos, we're trying to locate your mother now. Carlos, do you know who did this to you?
No. Can you tell us anything that would help? Only one thing. The soldier.
Go on, Carlos.
The soldier? What about him?
Is someone you know?
See.
A friend?
See. Friend.
Carlos, what's his name? His full name?
Tell the soldier. Tell him before it is too late.
Go on, Carlos. Now try to finish. Better tell the doctor to come in, Harry. And the priest, too.
Carlos La Jolla never finished. All Detectives Bryan and Gomez knew was that La Jolla wanted to send a message to a man named the Soldier. With that slim information, they returned to headquarters, where Gomez proceeded to make a thorough check of the identification files. Other checks were set in motion to develop information on the dead man. Later, Gomez joined Bryan in the ballistics lab, where tests were being made on the slugs taken from La Jolla's body.
Here's the card on La Jolla. Yeah, what does it show, Harry?
2 arrests for petty larceny, 1 conviction. He was 18 then. Was given a suspended sentence and put into the custody of his mother.
Father?
Deserted the mother in 1934. Mrs. La Jolla brought her son to New York in 1935.
Bryan, Gomez. What'd you find, Gordon?
Something really surprising.
Oh, like what?
Over here to the table, see for yourself in the microscope.
Yeah.
Go on, have a look. Slug on the left is the one taken from La Jolla's lung.
Uh-huh.
As you can see, it matches the slug on the right perfectly.
Well, that should prove that both shots fired into La Jolla were from the same gun.
We proved that right away. That slug on the right wasn't taken from La Jolla's body.
What do you mean?
I mean, that slug on the right has been on file here for a long time.
Huh?
It was taken from the body of the night watchman who was killed in the Cuffley tooling plant payroll robbery last November. What do you make of that? Over 7 months had passed since 3 unidentified men had robbed the payroll of the Cuffley Tool Manufacturing Company, an outfit occupying a 4-story loft-type building near New York's Market District. Detectives Bryan and Gomez dug out the file on the Cuffley holdup and discovered that the night watchman had been found dead, a bullet through his back. A bullet was the only connection between the murder of Carlos La Jolla, a murder seemingly without a motive as yet, and the $43,000 tool company robbery. They continued trying to put the pieces together. The next step was to visit La Jolla's mother to find out what they could about her son. They found her rocking in the combination kitchen-living room of a cold water flat on Dutton Street.
Los ojos están secos. Ojalá que las lágrimas vinieran.
What's she saying? She says the eyes are dry. Would that the tears would come.
Ni dinero, ni salud, ni felicidad. Solamente mi hijo. Y ahora ni él tampoco.
She says she had nothing, only her son, and now he's gone. Yeah. Ask her about the soldier. Señora, ¿conoce a alguien que es soldado?
Se llama él soldado.
¿Un amigo de su hijo?
Sí, un amigo.
He calls himself the soldier. He was a friend of her son's.
Solamente un apodo. Está loco por golpear a otros hombres.
What'd you say then? He likes to beat people. What?
Pelea allá en la arena con otro hombre. Se combaten para ganar dinero.
Oh, he fights in the arena with another man. They beat each other for money. Oh, prize fighter. Yeah. Soldier's a common enough nickname for pugs.
Toda mi vida enseñé a mi hijo a ser bueno, no hacer daño a otros.
All my life I taught my son to be good and not to hurt others. Look, Harry, you want to stay around here with her for a while?
Yeah, sure.
When she calms down, maybe she can give you some sort of description of the soldier character. Try that anyway. Where'll I catch up to you? Well, I'll be at the Cuffley Tool plant. Sorry, Mrs. La Jolla. I'm very sorry, man. I'm afraid she doesn't understand.
The office of the Cuffley plant was on the ground floor and separated from the factory portion by some grimy, thin partitions. A telephone operator doubled as a receptionist. She wore a large diamond ring, and a mink stole was thrown around her shoulders.
Excuse me, miss. My name is Brian. I'd like to see Mr. Cuffley, please.
You have an appointment with Mr. Cuffley?
Well, I'm a detective homicide squad.
Homicide? You don't look like a policeman. What's it all about?
Well, look, Lee, I asked to see Mr. Cuffley.
You're not very friendly, are you? Just a minute.
Yes, what is it?
There's a Detective Brian here to see you.
Detective?
That's what he says.
All right. Tell him I'll be with him in a minute or two.
He'll be with you.
In a minute or two, thanks.
I'll keep you company in the meantime. What are you staring at?
Well, I was just admiring that diamond ring you're wearing. It's quite a stone.
Oh, that. Oh, Mr. Cuffley gave it to me. The mate stole, too.
Nice Christmas bonus from the boss, eh?
A gift from my husband. I'm Mrs. Cuffley. You see, the regular girl's on an errand. I'm just sitting here.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Cuffley. I guess I stepped out of line.
Well, you don't hear me complaining, do you? And the first name is Ruth. You can call me by my first name.
Why?
Oh, you're not too friendly, are you?
Well, I guess a little tired to be a clever conversationalist. You see, I haven't had any sleep lately.
Working, I presume.
Working?
You know what they say about all work and no play.
I like it to be all work.
Oh, you expect me to believe that?
Look, Mrs. Copley, I came here to see your husband.
Well, is that any reason you can't be friendly? I always thought a police officer was a servant of the people. You know, I might have to call on you sometime for help.
Yeah, any phone operator will give you the number.
I mean your home number.
Well, you have to ask my wife.
Will you come in now, Miss Bryant?
Yes.
Nice talking to you, Miss Bryant.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
That's all right. Your wife saw to it the wait wasn't too dull, Mr. Copley.
Oh, sit down.
Thank you.
Want to rush you, Lieutenant, but I'm very busy today.
Well, I won't take up too much of your time, sir. It's about the payroll robbery you had here.
Oh, that?
Yeah.
That robbery was 6 months ago. We've pretty well written it off by now.
Well, we haven't. According to the records, your night watchman was murdered and $43,000 stolen. How do you write that off?
Look, Brian, how long is this going to keep up? Every time I get settled down to work, another cop comes in here and starts asking questions, disturbing our routine, upsetting my employees. You fellows have had 6 months. You haven't come up with a thing. 6 months you've been bothering us. Now, why don't you leave us alone?
Mr. Copley, can you afford to lose $43,000?
We're insured. I don't get it unless you have something new, Brian.
We have something new.
Oh? Well, why didn't you say so?
You see, a man was murdered last night just off West Street, not far from here, as a matter of fact.
See what that has to do with our payroll robbery?
Well, you don't have to. That's our job. Now, here, have a look at this photo, will you? You recognize this man?
Oh, I never saw him before. What's he done?
He had himself killed. Named Carlos La Jolla. That name mean anything to you?
Not a thing.
He had a record, 2 arrests for petty larceny.
It's a long jump to a $43,000 payroll robbery.
Maybe so, maybe not. We're going to find out. We're going to need your help.
I just don't get it. The man is found dead.
Murdered.
And just because it's near here, you think there's a connection?
Now, look, Mr. Copley, are you going to help us?
What can I do?
Well, I'd like to show this photo to all your employees. See whether any of them know La Jolla. Now, how about it?
All right, I'll get our foreman on it right away. I'm sorry, Brian, if I got worked up. Excuse me. Yes?
This is Detective Gomez. Is Brian still there?
Oh, yeah, just a moment. It's for you, Brian. Detective Gomez.
Oh, thanks. Yeah,
I got a description of Carlos' friend from Mrs. La Jolla and sent out an alert. We got a quick return. Phillips just radioed in. He's located our point.
Oh, which one?
The soldier. His name is Wally Revlock. Fights under the name of Soldier Revlock.
Yeah, where'd they locate him?
At the Diamond Gym, a training place for fighters. Better let Phillips bring him in for questioning, eh?
No, I got a better plan. Keep an eye on him, and I'll meet you there in 10 minutes. I know the place. We'll do our questioning there, okay?
Okay. You having any luck where you are?
Yeah, I don't know yet.
Something new?
Well, there's always something new. I have to go now, Mr. Copley, but I'll be back to check on that photograph. Leave it with you?
I'll get right on it, Brian. Once again, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's all right. By the way, did you ever hear of a man named Revlock? Soldier Revlock?
That's an odd name.
He's a fighter. You ever hear of him?
No, I don't follow the fights. Why?
You know how we are, Mr. Copley. We police. We just keep asking. And now, back to Gangbusters.
Carlos was a great kid. Best.
What else do you know, Revlock?
Oh, like I said, he was the best. Didn't work out with me when I couldn't afford a starter partner. I'd get my hands on all the business. I'd kill him, sir. I mean, even if you were cops, I'd kill him. It was easy and handsome.
Yeah, La Jolla mentioned your name just before he died.
He did?
They wanted us to give you a message, but he never had a chance to finish it.
What kind of message?
Well, you tell us.
It's me. I wouldn't know.
You ever hear of the Cuffley Tool Company?
Cuffley?
Right. They make machine parts.
Oh, I never heard of them. I'm a fighter. I don't know anything about machinery except these here hands in my head.
Well, you said before that La Jolla worked out with you when you couldn't afford a sparring partner.
That's right. He was a good boy, Cubs.
But you can't afford a sparring partner now?
Well, I got my hands on some money.
How?
An old friend lent it to me.
What's your friend's name?
His name? His name's Jerry Boone.
Would we check with Boone?
Well, you can't. Jerry died 3 months ago. You check on that, though, if you don't believe me.
Why shouldn't we believe you?
Well, asking so many questions like, acting like maybe I did something wrong.
Have you?
What, done something wrong?
Yeah.
Not me. I always stay out of trouble. I live a clean life and take care of myself all the time. Got to if I'm going to be ready when the call comes, I'd be ready, go in, nice and trim. You got to have the hands and shapes there. I'd be set, for my comeback. Hey, look, give me one right here in the gut. Go ahead. Go ahead, hard as you could. See how you can take it. Go ahead.
Nobody's in good enough shape to take a slug in there.
What? Oh, you want to hurt me? I never did it to nobody.
Did Charlotte follow?
Nice, beautiful, man.
That's all you know?
That's all.
There was no doubt in the minds of Detectives Bryan and Gomez, Gangbusters listeners, that Soldier Revlock knew more than he was telling. They decided to play a waiting game and keep the soldier under surveillance. Sometimes this pays off. A few hours later, Bryan was sitting at his desk catching up on a sandwich and a cup of coffee.
Stop the sandwich, Red. Why?
Phillips just called in on Revlock. Someone shot him in his rooming house.
Well, I thought Phillips had that all staked down.
So did I. Says he went for a glass of water, took only a minute, heard a shot, and rushed back. Nobody but Revlock lying on the floor, plugged in the stomach. Phillips thinks the guy went up the stairs and over the roof.
How's Revlock?
Not good. Ambulance is on the way. You ready to roll?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Bryan and Gomez beat the ambulance to Revlock's rooming house. A crowd had gathered in the street, and the hallway was full of milling residents.
All right, everybody. Phillips, clear the hall and shut the door.
Revlock. Revlock. Who gave it to you, Revlock? Who did it?
I don't know.
You gotta look at him.
The punch I got, that was mean. That was awful. Sneaky mean. I'm dying, man.
The ambulance is on its way. Be here in a minute. Now look, Revlock. Who pulled the Cuffley payroll job? You did, didn't you? Tell us.
I did, yeah.
Who else was with you? You didn't pull it alone. Who?
Carlos Lloyd.
Who shot the night watchman? You hear me, Revlock? Who shot the night watchman? You or Carlos?
No. The other one.
The other one?
He shot me too. He pulled a rap punch at me.
Revlock, you mean the same man that shot the watchman shot you? Now, what's his name?
Roy.
Roy.
That's all I know. Just Roy.
Did Cuffley know anything at all about the stick-up?
He's fading.
set up his own robbery. Yes. And Roy worked for Cuffley? We all worked together. There comes the ambulance. Yeah. Revlock, you know where this Roy lives. Revlock, can you hear me? He's gone, Frank. We've lost our witness. I know.
Well, Detective Bryan, how nice to see you again.
Is it? Your husband and Mrs. Cuffley?
How do you like my new coat, Mr. Bryan? You're always so observant.
Well, that's a detective's job, Mrs. Cuffley. It's pretty fancy. I'd say it must cost a lot of money. Now, will you tell your husband we want to see him?
I'm sure he'll be glad to see you.
Perhaps.
Come along. Detective Bryan again, dear. I'll see you again, I hope, Mr. Bryan.
You might, Mrs. Cuffley.
Come in, gentlemen. Close the door.
Yeah, this is Detective Gomez, my partner.
Glad to meet you.
Thank you.
I had my foreman check the entire plant personnel on the photograph that you left with me. No one here recognized that man, what's his name, La Jolla?
Yeah, La Jolla, Carlos La Jolla. Nobody.
I wish I could be more helpful.
Well, we can't win all the time. Harry, ask him a $64 question.
Something else?
Yes, do you have an employee named Roy? Does that first name mean anything to you?
Roy what? We probably have quite a few Roys in our payroll. You'll have to tell me more than that, gentlemen.
Well, perhaps this guy's not on your payroll. Let's say he's a friend, business acquaintance.
I don't get you, Brian.
Now, look, Cuffley, here it is. A man named Roy shot your night watchman 6 months ago at the time of the payroll robbery.
I wouldn't know.
And this Roy probably shot Carlos La Jolla.
I told you I don't know this La Jolla. That's what you told us. Why do you ask me all this? I don't know anything.
And this Roy took a shot at a fighter named Soldier Revlock just an hour ago.
Why tell me all this?
Because Soldier Revlock told us that he, La Jolla, and Roy were all hired by you to hold up your own payroll, Cuffley. Now, come clean.
This soldier told you that?
He did, just an hour ago. Now, Cuffley, you are into this thing up to your neck. You might as well come clean. How about it? How about it, Cuffley?
All right. I planned the robbery. My wife kept asking me for money. I didn't know the watchman would be killed.
And after the job was pulled, you were afraid of the soldier La Jolla. Afraid they'd talk, especially the soldier after we'd been to see him. That's why you had this Roy kill him, wasn't it?
Roy killed the soldier? But you said he spoke to you.
Before he died, Cuffley.
Then you haven't got a witness. The soldier is dead.
We haven't got Roy either, Cuffley. But we've got you for a starter. Now, come on.
A thorough investigation of Henry Cuffley's affairs, Gangbusters listeners, revealed that before the robbery, he had been in serious financial straits. The insistent demands of his extravagant wife caused him to plan the robbery and the subsequent cover-up murders. Cuffley revealed to the police that Roy's last name was Packham. Packham was apprehended within 48 hours and confessed to the dual murders. He was sentenced to execution in the electric chair. Henry Cuffley was also electrocuted for his complicity in the murders.
Thank you, John J. Sullivan, former Deputy Commissioner and Chief of Detectives, Police Department, City of New York. And now, Gangbusters Nationwide Clues, broadcast every week to assist American police in their war against the world. Attention, Gangbusters listeners. Aaron Harry Gordon is wanted by the FBI for unlawful flight to avoid confinement for the crime of murder. Listen carefully to his official description.
Aaron Harry Gordon, age 52, 5 feet 5 1/2 inches, 145 pounds, short build, dark chestnut hair, work as a house painter. This fugitive is blind in left eye, has heavy eyebrows, and nose as broad as ridge. He is an amateur wrestler, a proficient still life painter, and portrait painter.
Caution. Gordon may be armed and should be considered dangerous. If you have any information concerning this clue, notify your local police, the nearest office of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or Gangbusters, at once. Tonight's Gangbusters case was written by Edward J. Adamson and directed by Leonard L. Bass, with Louis Van Ruten, Scott Tennyson, and Will F. Zuckert in leading roles. This production was supervised for CBS Radio by Jerry Danzig. Gaylord Avery speaking. With Phyllis H. Lord. Time and tide wait for no man. The same thing could be said about news. It doesn't wait on anyone's convenience. What does help is having your radio handy, at home, in your car, wherever you are, and tuning in the strategically spaced news broadcasts of CBS News, daytime and night. The greatest names in news reporting, fed by a worldwide staff of eyewitness observers, keep you up to the minute at all times. Make CBS Radio your headquarters for top reporting first. Stay tuned now for Gunsmoke, which follows immediately over most of these same stations.
Proudly we hail. From New York City, where the American stage begins, here is another program with a cast of outstanding players. Public service time has been made available by this station for your Army and your Air Force to bring you this story, as proudly we hail the United States Army. Entitled The General Saves the City, a true story of the courage, compassion, and understanding of an American general. Our first act curtain will rise in just a moment, but first, we all share freedom, help share its defense. The motto is new, but the call it sounds is as old as the history of our country. Today, as we stand strong and alert against communism, the United States Army is calling for qualified young men and women to join the Freedom Team and become Army technical specialists. You will be trained in the latest techniques using the finest equipment, and you will be building a rewarding career for yourself. For full information, visit your nearest United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting station. The time is now. And now your Army and your Air Force present the proudly hailed production, The General Saves the City. The old German city of Heidelberg hugs the Neckar River not far from where it meets the Rhine. In the spring of 1945, Heidelberg lay smack in the path of the Allied advance, an advance preceded by tremendous artillery barrages and round-the-clock aerial bombardment. Heidelberg was one of the few cities of its size in Germany to remain intact and untouched in the face of such a devastating Holocaust. That fact must be attributed to the actions of one American soldier and a few determined citizens of the doomed city. The soldier was Major General William A. Beidelinden, who in that spring of victory was in command of the artillery brigade of the 44th Infantry Division, led by Major General William Dean.
This
this rate, sir, Mannheim will be ours by morning.
Yeah, there's little doubt of it, Colonel.
And then on to Heidelberg.
Have you ever been there, Colonel?
No, sir. This will be my first visit.
Well, it's a very old and a very beautiful city. Its university dates back to the 14th century. One of its bridges is older than that. Durfee called it the most beautiful bridge built by man. It's a city crammed full of the best of the past.
Sir, we're fighting a war.
Colonel, I happen to be vaguely aware of that fact. But to save this symbol of peacetime culture, to keep our guns from it...
But our advance. How can you expect to continue our advance?
Colonel, would you have the sergeant get my jeep? I'll be at General Dean's headquarters if you need me.
You think you can get him to surrender as an open city?
Well, I don't know. But with your permission, I'd like to try.
You have that, Bill. You do as you think best. Just remember, it can't in any way slow our advance. We're spearheading. We don't let up on them for a minute.
When we take Mannheim, I'll try to get word through to the Heidelberg authorities.
I don't think you'll have much luck, even if you do.
Well, it's worth that old school try to me.
I don't want to discourage you, Bill, but I think you ought to listen to something. Lieutenant, let's have that Superman in here again.
Well, who have you got? Adolf Hitler?
His brother, Sam. General Beiderlinden, this is SS Major Brunner von Hauptmann. Major von Hauptmann, General Beiderlinden is in charge of my division artillery. He'd like to spare Heidelberg because of its age and beauty, its past culture. How do you feel about that?
We shall never surrender. Every last man, woman, and child will fight and die for the glory of the Fuhrer. The Burgomaster of Heidelberg tries to negotiate with you. He will be shot. You think you have beaten us? You think because you have taken a few of our cities?
All right, that will do, Major.
That we shall surrender?
That's enough, Major.
We shall make a stand and turn defeat into victory.
Lieutenant, take him back to his cage.
We will crush you and fling you back into the sea. Every man wounded.
You see what I mean, Bill?
Sure, I know, but they're not all like that.
No, but those that are will see that the others do as they're told or else.
I'd still like to give it a play.
All right, Bill, go ahead. Remember, you'll have to work fast.
On the 28th of March, Mannheim, badly battered, without food or water, surrendered. Almost before the last shot had been fired, Bill Beiderlinden made his way into the city, and with the aid of an interpreter, found a messenger willing to carry the words to Heidelberg. He must tell the authorities, whoever's in charge there, that Heidelberg can only be saved if there's no resistance.
Sie müssen den Behörden sagen, dass Heidelberg nur gerettet werden kann, wenn kein Widerstand geleistet wird.
Jawohl.
Tell them that time is vitally important. I must have an immediate answer.
Zeit ist von äußerster Wichtigkeit. Wir müssen Ihre Antwort sofort haben.
And, oh yes, see that he gets a jeep. Colonel Hubert Neeson, on that fateful day, was commandant of Heidelberg's hospitals, which held more than 21,000 wounded German soldiers. Fortunately, the messenger sent by Beiderlinden got through to Heidelberg, and even more fortunately, he brought his news to Colonel Neeson. So they would spare the city?
Yes, sir. The American general said there was need for haste.
If we fight, we die like Mannheim, like all the rest. And for what?
If I may be so bold, Herr Oberst, for nothing.
Yes, I know. Well, there's only one thing to do. Go see Ninehouse, the Bürgermeister. To save Heidelberg. That would be. What's the use in talking about it? You'd rather die here, amidst the ruins, Herr Ninehouse? Don't take me for a complete fool, Herr Oberst. I'm the Bürgermeister, the mayor. What does that mean? It means if you are really the Bürgermeister and want to do what you can to save this city, you'll pick up that phone and call Army headquarters. You'll tell them of the American offer, and you'll point out the Americans won't wait forever for an answer. Ziegler is the political Gauleiter of this city. You know that as well as I. He's in charge. I take my orders from him.
He has no power now. Do you think the people of Heidelberg will listen to what he has to say if you tell them what the Americans offer?
He'll have me hung.
A pity, sir. What do you think will happen to you otherwise?
Heidelberg, yeah? A rubble and ruin. A tombstone to beauty.
It needn't be, Dr. Meinhaus.
Operator, I want you to get... They don't know where he is. There is no one else at headquarters who has such authority. They said, talk to Ziegler.
There's only one thing to do. Send the messenger back asking for further information. In that way we can buy time, and the Americans will at least know that we are interested.
And what do we do with this time we buy her over?
You keep trying to get the army commander. I let it be known throughout the city that the Americans are willing to declare it open and not to harm or shell it if we surrender. You'd also better make a list of 4 or 5 of your most responsible people to act as negotiators.
Oh. Wait till Ziegler hears of this.
Never mind the Gestapo. Ziegler's hours are numbered.
Last night, Dad, will you please tell me, Nick, what we're doing here watching up this road?
Well, Andy, I tell you, I didn't have to talk to the general about it, but maybe like the Sarge said. We lie here and wait and see if anything comes down it.
Well, that's what I mean. Ain't nothing going to come down this road.
Can I quote you?
They all pull back across the river. They're just going up roads these days. They ain't going down them. Maybe back in the sack instead of wasting good sleeping time up here. I don't like it at all lying out here looking up.
Hold it.
What's this?
Nothing coming up the road, huh?
Well, I'll be almost assuredly bait.
You'll be cold meat if you don't shut up.
Hallo, Amerikaner! Hallo, Amerikaner! I come alone from Heidelberg. I come in.
I'll only negotiate with responsible officers. Make sure he understands that.
Yes, sir. Kontakt wird nur mit verantwortlichen Offizieren gemacht.
Befehl. They'll leave Heidelberg at exactly 9 o'clock tomorrow night in a white ambulance, and they'll follow this route. Now, he can take this map. The route's marked in red. Now, point this out to him. Under no circumstances will there be further delay. If the negotiators are not at this headquarters by 21:45, I'll take it that our offer has been rejected.
Well, what's luck, Herr Bürgermeister?
I reached General von Sprock.
What did he say?
He's willing to remove all troops and weapons from the hospital areas if it will prevent their being fired.
And the rest of the city?
He didn't say. I don't think he'd dare to. He wants you to call him.
What about our trying to...
Neidhart! I'm going to have you hung! What is this incredible nonsense I hear about you negotiating with the Americans?
It is they who have offered us the chance to negotiate.
You stick to the evacuation of your wounded, Herr Oberst. General von Sprock, the new commandant, has agreed to remove all troops and weapons from the hospital areas. Oberst Nixon. General von Sprock has what? Such an agreement is out of the question. A new line of defense is to be formed along the Neckar. Heidelberg is to be defended to the last man, to the last woman.
There is no new line of defense, and you know it.
I'll have you shot for treason,
Shut your face, you silly little puppet. You've had your last man shot. Try to stop us, and the people of Heidelberg will tear you to bits.
You will see about that. I knew it. Now what?
Forget him. He's through. He's just bluffing. Who have you picked for negotiators?
I thought Dr. Fritz Ernst of Heidelberg University would be good. Here is a list.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'll round them up. Bring them here. Let's hope the messenger gets back soon.
Shortly after the messenger again crossed the lines, all Heidelberg knew that the American army was willing to spare their beloved city. By 7 o'clock the following evening, The negotiators, with Colonel Neeson to head them, had gathered at the city hall. The square before it was packed with a silent citizenry who waited tensely for the white ambulance to move on its mission across the old bridge to the American lines. Within the city hall, a crucial battle was in progress.
As the representative of the Army Command, I have orders to deal only with hospital areas.
And as the political head of this city, Lieutenant, I tell you, you will not deal with anyone without my permission.
We are going to the American lines, and there's nothing you can do to stop us.
I promise you, traitor, you are not.
Take a look at those people out there, Ziegler. What do you think they'll do if I go out and tell them you won't let us discuss the American offer?
Try to do that, and I'll shoot you before you can move 5 paces.
You will shoot, you will hang, you will kill, you filthy pig. Well, I do have a gun, see? I have never shot anyone, but I will shoot you if you do not get out of here at once. Get out! Get out! Get out!
I warn you, you won't get away with this.
Climb in, Dr. Ernst. Lieutenant.
I am going only to discuss the situation on hospitals.
All right. But for heaven's sake, let's go. Nearly 9. I get in, the rest of you gentlemen.
Herr Oberst! Oberst Neeson! Herr Oberst, wait!
Let him through. What's the matter, Herr Bürgermeister?
The artillery commander, he just called to say Ziegler has ordered the old bridge to be blown up at 9 o'clock.
What about the Neuenheim Bridge?
He's ordered it to be destroyed, too.
And the Ernstwald has already been blown up. Get out of my way. People of Heidelberg, your political Gauleiter has ordered the old bridge to be blown up at the time we were to cross. If this happens, Heidelberg will be destroyed. The only way to save your city is to convince the artillery commander he must not obey Ziegler. Will you follow me?
You are listening to the Proudly We Hail production of The General Saves the City. We'll return to our story in just a moment. Today, you young men of America have an excellent opportunity to learn a trade that will assure your future. The many fine technical schools of the United States Army are training men in such interesting fields as radio, radar, meteorology, mechanics, electrics, and many others. You can become a qualified technician trained to do an important job and do it right. For full details about an exciting career, visit your nearest United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting station. There's no obligation, so plan ahead. Face your tomorrow today. You are listening to Proudly We Hail, and now we present the second act of The General Saves the City. By 1900 hours, the time the Heidelberg delegation was to leave for the American lines, while Bill Dean's slugging 44th had driven forward to the outskirts of Neuenheim, just across the river from Heidelberg. Here it lay momentarily, awaiting the signal to thrust forward and take the famous old city. And as that time drew near, General Bill Linden paced his tent with growing concern.
Well, another hour of this, we'll be able to walk into Neuenheim without any trouble.
Colonel, are you sure the outposts along Road G were fully appraised on the situation?
Yes, sir. I've checked the recheck.
The rain will make a mess of the road.
What's left of it?
So many things could go wrong. The messenger may never have gotten back. General Linden speaking. Yes, Captain, I can hear you. Go ahead. When? Well, is there any other way out? Are you sure they didn't get across before it went up? I see. All right, Captain, thank you. No, not yet. We'll let you know when. Bye.
Bad news, sir?
Great so. The Germans blew the last bridge across the Neckar.
Well, I didn't think they'd listen to reason, sir.
Funny. I thought they would. Get me General Dean, please.
Hello. This is Sugar Baker Dog calling.
out here in all this mess. Rain pouring down, black and a bear tied in a cage.
A grand night for dancing.
Maybe you can tell me what we're doing out here miles ahead of everyone else.
Why, boy, ain't you heard? We're winning a war.
Oh, yeah, it's you all the same. Can't tell me why we shouldn't be curling up in a nice dry cellar or bunker, getting some sack time.
Well, so I'll tell you. It's probably because you and me are the two most important dope feet in this entire army.
Uh-huh.
The General D, he says, I need those boys to get out there in front and make sure them Nazis don't run plumb away from us.
Mm-hmm. Wish I'd gone to cook some baker's food.
Oh, you make a terrible cook, Andy.
Now, that's no proper way to talk about a buddy.
Hey, best we leave off talking altogether.
Huh?
Something come up the road.
Nick, you got ears like a bird dog.
Sounds like a truck. And remember, if it's white, we hold our fire.
All batteries will concentrate their fire on... General Biderman speaking. What? Say it again. I can't hear you. Yes, that's right. Oh, Colonel, hold those orders. Yes, go ahead. All right, bring them in and on the double. Right, bye.
They're coming, John.
Yes, they're coming, Colonel. Outpost on Road G. Just picked them up. They must have crossed before the bridge was closed. I take it you all speak English.
We do, sir.
Well, then let's all sit down and get to business. There's little time.
As representative of the German Army Command, I should like to speak.
Go ahead.
We have only come here at your request to see that the hospital areas of Heidelberg are not fired upon.
Well, there must be some mistake. It's our understanding that you're here to offer the unconditional surrender of all Heidelberg, that you'll permit our entry into the city without resistance.
We have not agreed to your occupation of Heidelberg. All we want is a guarantee that the American Air Force will not attack our hospitals.
We don't shoot at hospitals.
Furthermore,
nothing. To be regretted that the German army, which enjoys a reputation for brave fighting, cannot understand it has lost the war, and that it's useless to have more cities destroyed.
We are of a different opinion. We have not lost the war, and we did not come here to discuss such matters.
Look here. You're practical men. You want to save Heidelberg? Well, so do I. Now, let's try to work out an agreement that will do the business.
Sir, you must forgive the lieutenant here. He does not speak for all of us. He does not speak for Heidelberg.
Listen, you will...
Be still. I happen to be a superior in rank, if not in designation. I was appointed head of this delegation by the Burgermeister, and as its head, I shall be entirely responsible for the negotiations that take place here. Now, sir, let us proceed.
Within the drab tents across the battered old table, the victors and the vanquished faced each other. There were some on the side of the vanquished who could not understand why an American general of artillery was so anxious to save one of their cities. It was his job to destroy, not to preserve. It must be a trick. But in their hearts they knew there was no need for a trick. They could bluster, they could shout, they could bluff. But even the arrogant young lieutenant knew they were beaten. And so, slowly, patiently, keeping a check rein on his temper, Bill Bidelenden made them see reason. Colonel Neeson, who had long been associated with the futility of war, finally brought the negotiations to a close.
May I say, sir, I thank you for being so fair.
Colonel, I'm interested in saving Heidelberg, not thanks.
I pledge you my word that we shall do our best to get an agreement that no military resistance will be offered, and in return you will spare our city from gunfire.
That is correct. Now, let me point out again that speed is essential. I don't know how you plan to get back across the Neckar with all the bridges out, but we'll be moving on the city within the next few hours. If we meet with resistance, we'll know that you were unsuccessful.
We shall do our best.
Colonel, See that they're passed through our lines as quickly as possible.
Goodbye, sir. And, I hope we may meet again. In Heidelberg.
Colonel, in undamaged Heidelberg.
Strange to think of tomorrow.
I know. Easter Sunday. When Colonel Neeson and his group reached Neunheim, it was just after midnight. Fire and smoke from the battered town cast their angry glow over the river, and silent old Heidelberg lay darkly silhouetted against the night sky, waiting the dawn. A 16-year-old girl named Annie Tom had come to meet the colonel and his party, and it was she with her small boat who paddled them across the river back to the city.
Bürgermeister, Dr. Ninehouse, wake up.
I am awake, Albert.
What happened? What's the matter?
The army command has left. The whole staff.
Left?
For where? I don't know. Ziegler. They must have listened to him.
Where is that butcher?
Gone too. I suppose you were successful?
Yes, we were successful. They would spare the city, but now...
And now it will come crashing down around us in fire and rocks.
Could we...
Dr. Ninehouse here. What? Herr General. I mean, sir. It's General von Spock.
Give me that thing. General von Spock, this is Oberst Neeson. You've got to listen to me, sir. I have got...
What time is it?
0730, General.
Advance column should be at Neunheim by now.
Strange not to hear guns.
Let's hope it stays like that. Let's hope it's a quiet Easter.
Suppose they try to trap us, General.
We're ready if they do, but I pray to God they don't. Wait. I'll take that, Colonel. General Biderlinden speaking. Being fired upon. But who is this? Where's it coming from? East of the city. Speak louder. Major, will you speak louder? I can't hear you. Is it heavy? All right, you know what to do. Clean them out. No, you will not. You will not fire upon Heidelberg. The agreement will be observed unless you're fired directly upon from the city. Is that clear? I don't care what anyone is saying. My orders are to hold all fire on the city. Right. Goodbye.
Trouble, General?
Well, I hope not. Some die-hard elements east of Heidelberg opened up bizarre advance columns started across the pontoon bridge. We can handle that situation without having to break the agreement. I'll get Major Richardson on zero. The situation was well taken care of, and by late afternoon, American troops were flooding across the Neckar on pontoon bridges, thundering into the ancient city of culture and learning that had been saved for future generations. In the city, the streets were lined with joyous throngs of people, delighting in their hearts at the salvation of their beloved city. The churches of Heidelberg rang out their thanksgiving. Heidelberg, glorious Heidelberg, was saved. In May of 1951, Bill Biderlinden's alma mater, Drury College, asked him back to receive the Alumni Association's Distinguished Service Award. It is the highest honor the alumni can bestow. The citation read, "He recognized the international significance of the accumulated learning of the ages, the culture, refinement, and ideals of the centuries stored at the University of Heidelberg, and thus became the savior of Heidelberg." And so, proudly we hail General Biderlinden, who in the midst of war successfully brought about the saving of a great symbol of peace and of culture. Young man, here's news about an important opportunity for you. Right now, the United States Army has an urgent need for qualified technicians to operate and service the complex equipment that science has brought into being. The need is vital, and you can be trained in such interesting career fields as radio, electronics,
radar, photography, meteorology, mechanics, and many others. Here's your chance to acquire a skill that will be of value to your country and help you in civilian life. For full details, visit the recruiting sergeant at your nearest United States Army and United States Air Force recruiting station today. This has been another program on Proudly We Hail, presented transcribed in cooperation with this station. Proudly We Hail is produced by the Recruiting Publicity Center for the United States Army and United States Air Force Recruiting Service. This is Kenneth Banghart speaking and inviting you to tune in this same station next week for another interesting story on Proudly We Hail.
Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo present the new adventures of Sherlock Holmes, starring Nigel Bruce as Dr. Watson and Tom Conway as Sherlock Holmes. Now it's time to keep that weekly appointment with our good friend and host, Dr. Watson. Let's join him, shall we? Good evening, Dr. Watson.
Good evening, Mr. Bell. As usual, you're punctual to the minute.
Naturally, when I have an appointment with my favorite doctor.
Oh, well, draw up your usual chair and make yourself comfortable.
Thank you.
That's it.
All ready with tonight's new Sherlock Holmes adventure, Dr. Watson?
Yes, my boy. I was going over my notes on the case before you arrived. I came across this old theater program. I think it'll interest you.
Garrick Theater, Sir Basil Wentworth, in a revival of Martin Reeves' famous play, The Road is Narrow. A production that you and the great Sherlock Holmes attended, I'm sure.
We certainly did, Mr. Bell, though at the time we had no idea that we were about to become involved in the tragic death of Martin Reeves. You've probably heard of him, haven't you, Mr. Bell?
It seems to me I had to read him in school, Dr. Watson.
He's rather out of fashion now, like so many other good things. But in the 1890s, apart from Lord Tennyson, there wasn't a more famous writer in England, or a more respected one. The story I'm going to tell you tonight, Mr. Bell, concerns the horrible circumstances surrounding his death.
Sounds like a mighty intriguing Sherlock Holmes adventure. But before you begin, Dr. Watson, do you mind if I...
You have your little talk? No, of course not, Mr. Bell.
Men, well-groomed hair helps so much in giving a man that prosperous, successful appearance. And I'm sure you want to know why Kreml Hair Tonic is preferred among America's top-flight executives. Kreml never plasters the hair down with sticky goo, which makes your hair and scalp feel so dirty. It never gives hair that old-fashioned, greasy, patent leather look. You see, Kreml is a very highly specialized hair tonic. It contains a unique and utterly different combination of hair grooming ingredients that's never been duplicated in any other hair tonic. That's why Kreml keeps unruly hair so neatly in place longer, with such a handsome, healthy-looking luster. What I especially like about Kreml is that after you use it, you can run your hand back over your hair, and your hair never feels sticky or dirty. No greasy film comes off in your hand. Yet Kreml keeps hair in perfect order from morning till night, always looking so healthy and handsome. Kreml, Kreml Hair Tonic. Now, Dr. Watson, what about the singular death of Martin Reeves?
Well, Mr. Bell, that adventure began late on a foggy evening many, many years ago. Sherlock Holmes and I had been to the Garrick Theater to see the revival of Martin Reeves' play, and I remember that we decided to walk home to Baker Street. As we approached the old familiar door of 221B, our footsteps echoed hollowly in the deserted street, and the chimes of a neighboring church reminded us of the fact that it was midnight.
A delightful evening, Watson. A good dinner, an excellent bottle of wine, and 3 hours of theatrical magic.
Well, personally, I found the play rather depressing.
Its theme is a morbid one, but the writing and construction are flawless. Yes, a magnificent play and well worth reviving. By the way, I noticed an item in the Times this morning concerning Martin Reeve. He's dangerously ill.
Oh, really? Well, he must be quite an old man.
82, to be precise.
Really, is he as old as that?
Curious career, Watson. His greatest success was written when he was a young man. In the past 50 years, he has never written anything to compare with tonight's play.
No, I don't think it... Holmes, look up at our window.
Hello. The gas is brightly lighted, whereas Mrs. Hudson invariably turns it low when we're out. And look at the silhouette on the blind. There's a man pacing up and down the room.
Visitor at midnight, Holmes. This looks ominous. Be careful now. It may be some sort of trap.
I think not, Watson. If some desperado were lying in wait for me, I doubt whether he'd be stupid enough to turn up the gas to advertise his presence.
Sam, I wonder how he got in.
Presumably through the front door. Mrs. Hudson has instructions to let a client wait in our rooms if his business seems urgent.
Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
At your service, sir.
I'm Dr. Manners. Harvey Manners.
How do you do, Dr. Manners? This is my colleague, Dr. Watson.
How do you do, Doctor?
I must apologize for being here at such an hour of night, Mr. Holmes, but my business is urgent.
I'm sure it is, Doctor.
I left Carlisle this morning, arriving at St. Pancras Station 2 hours ago. I came directly here, persuaded your housekeeper to let me wait for you.
Then sit down, my dear doctor, and tell me what urgent business has brought you to London.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Holmes, I've been acting in the capacity of personal physician for Martin Reeve, the playwright.
Martin Reeve? What an extraordinary coincidence. We've just returned from seeing a revival of his play, The Road is Narrow. We were talking about him as we walked home.
I understand the grand old man is dying.
He's not in good shape, Mr. Holmes. His heart's in very bad condition. Auricular fibrillation, Dr. Watson.
Oh, then at his age, I imagine you don't hold out much hope.
No, but I think with care, he might last a year or two. But the reason I've come to you, Mr. Holmes, is that I'm convinced that although he's a dying man, someone is trying to murder him.
To murder him? Good Lord.
What reason do you have for saying that, Dr. Manners?
Well, Mr. Holmes, I've been in almost daily attendance on Mr. Reeve. Last night, his coachman drove over to get me, saying that his master had suffered another bad attack. When I got to the house, I found that Mr. Reeve had received a severe shock. He was in a state of almost complete hysteria, and he kept insisting that he'd seen an apparition in his room a few hours earlier.
What kind of an apparition?
A ghost from his past, as he referred to it. I think that someone arranged for that apparition, that they knew of his heart condition, and also knew that a sudden fright could kill him.
It's possible, Dr. Manners, and it would be one of the least detectable methods of murder.
But who would want to kill a dying man?
Who lives at the house with him, Dr. Manners?
His daughter Catherine, his brother Silas, who's a drunken good-for-nothing, and his secretary, a fellow by the name of Hugh Kingslake.
Do you know the condition of Mr. Reeves' will?
No, but I do know he had dictated a new one a few days ago.
A fact that might easily have provoked a crisis. Dr. Manners, you say that Mr. Reeves spoke of seeing an apparition, a ghost from his past. Was he able to describe its appearance?
Well, he was a little incoherent, but he kept babbling something about blonde hair and blue eyes and a young man who'd come back from beyond the grave to haunt him.
Don't you think, Dr. Manners, that these might simply be the delusions of an old and a sick man?
I didn't overlook that possibility, I assure you, Dr. Watson, even though Mr. Reeves' mental faculties are remarkably acute for his age. But last night, after I'd given him a sedative, I examined his room. I found these, Mr. Holmes. That's when I decided to come to you.
Oh, let's have a look at them. They look like blonde hairs.
Yes, they are, Doctor. I found them on the bedclothes, and yet no one in that house has blonde hair.
Interesting. Very interesting. The hair is human, and yet the roots have minute particles of glue attached to them. Obviously, they're from a wig. Get out the timetable, Watson, will you?
Yeah, we're going to Carlisle?
On the earliest possible train. Though the grand old man of the English theatre is dying, we must do everything in our power to see that his death is not an unnatural one.
Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson, I'm Hugh Kingslake, Mr. Reeves' secretary.
How do you do?
Do, sir?
Accommodations at the hotel are satisfactory, I trust, gentlemen?
Entirely,
Yes,
thank you,
we're very
Mr. Kingsley.
comfortable, thank you.
Good. Frankly, I'm most relieved that you're here. Mr. Reeve received a severe shock the night before last. I quite agree with Dr. Manners that someone deliberately induced that shock, knowing the serious condition of Mr. Reeve's heart.
Have you any idea who that someone might be?
Well, it's a little difficult for me to talk, Mr. Holmes. After all, I'm only an employee here, but I can't help being... Oh, good morning, Mr. Reeve.
Miss Lake, who are these men?
This is Mr. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson and Mr. Silas Reeve.
How do you do, Mr. Reeve?
And what, may I ask, is the professional meddler Sherlock Holmes doing in my brother's house?
I'm here at the request of Dr. Manners.
Manners has no right to bring you here, sir. A lot of rubbish. All this talk about apparitions. Nonsense. Martin's in his second childhood. He's become a gibbering old fool. Personally, I wish he'd die and have done with it.
Well, upon my soul...
Never mind your soul, my good doctor. Why don't you mind your own business and get out of the house? We don't want detectives here.
Mr. Reeve, I've traveled some 200 miles to see your brother, and I have no intention of leaving this house without talking to him.
And talk and the devil with you. And if my dear, distinguished brother tells you that I've been sponging on him for years, it's perfectly true.
Uncle, sorry.
Enter the beautiful Catherine to try and persuade her drunken old uncle to return to his room.
No, Uncle Silas. I came to get Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson. Dr. Manners said that Daddy can see them now.
Shall I take them up, Miss Reeve?
No, Mr. Kingslake. I will.
And don't be deceived by the Mr. Kingslake and the Miss Reeves gentlemen. My dear niece and this young man here have a dark secret. A secret that is perfectly apparent to every member of this household.
Uncle Silas.
They're in love. Delightful, isn't it?
Uncle, you're intolerable.
Will you lead the way, Miss Reeve?
Oh, yes, Mr. Holmes.
Don't forget to ask him about the play that made him so famous. You might learn some interesting facts.
I must apologize for Uncle Silas, gentlemen. I'm afraid he's like this all the time these days.
I quite understand, Miss
It
Reeve.
must be very distressing for you, my dear.
Oh, I'm used to it, Doctor. Here's Daddy's room. I won't come in with you. Too many people upset.
Come in.
Please go in, gentlemen. I'll see you later.
Ah, there you are.
Who is it, Manners?
It's Mr. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, Mr. Reeve.
Ah, good. Good. You can leave us, Manners.
Yes, Mr. Reeve. I'll see you both later.
Very well, Doctor.
Come. Sit on my bed. That's it.
How are you feeling, sir?
Old and ill. But I'm glad you're both here. Manners displayed unusual enterprise in persuading you to visit me. There's been a lot of nonsense printed about my impending death. Anyone would think a great man is dying.
The author of The Road is Narrow is a great man, Mr. Reeve.
He was a great man, Mr. Holmes.
What do you mean, sir?
The author of that play died 45 years ago.
What?
And yet, his ghost appeared in this room 2 nights ago.
Mr. Reeve, are you saying that you didn't write The Road is Narrow?
Yes, my boy, I am. And it's a secret that's been gnawing at me for years. Now that I'm on my deathbed, I'd like to clear my conscience.
Then who did write the play, sir?
A young friend of mine, by the name of Colin McGrath. I started life as a lawyer's clerk in Keswick, a few miles from here. Colin lived in the same village and we became great friends. One day, he gave me the manuscript of his play to look at. And I realized it was a work of a genius. Suddenly he died. And no one knew about the manuscript.
You claimed it as your own, sir?
Yes. To my eternal shame, I did. Now, I want to make amends. Mr. Holmes, I want you to find out if any heirs of Colin McGrath still survive. If they do, I'll give them half of my estate.
Mr. Reeve, does anyone else know of this, fraud?
Yes. Knowing that I hadn't long for this world, I confided the secret to 3 members of my household.
And you're convinced that the apparition you saw the other night was that of the dead Colin McGrath?
There was no mistaking him. The blue eyes, the long golden hair. it was Colin. For his ghost come to haunt me on my deathbed.
This decision on your part to leave half of your estate to any heirs of the man you wronged, was that decision made before you had this strange visitation the other night?
Yes. Yes, it was.
Did you mention it to any member of your family, sir?
No. I did say something to Dr. Manners, and I didn't mention Colin McGrath's name.
It's obvious that someone wished to frighten you, knew your secret, and disguised himself to resemble Colin McGrath.
It was Colin. Never forget his blue eyes. He was standing over there in the chest of drawers. He looked at me. So approachfully.
Holmes, he's asleep.
Yes, Watson. And while he lies there, some member of this household continues to plot his death. We must work fast.
Well, what are we going to do?
Split forces. I shall remain here for a while and see what may be found out. I'll meet you at our hotel later and we'll compare notes.
And what shall I do?
Go to the village of Keswick. Colin McGrath lived and died there. See what you can find out about him, Watson.
I remember Colin McGrath.
Well, I should be very grateful for any information about him, madam. As postmistress, I imagine that very little village gossip has escaped you.
Of course it hasn't. I remember the McGrath boy well. He was no good. Didn't he marry poor old Mrs. Northrop's granddaughter Susan and then go and desert her just to kill himself? And the poor girl was going to have a baby. No good on earth. That's what young McGrath was. And you can tell him I said so if you ever reached the place I'm sure he went to.
Oh, I said, well, they had a child, you say. What happened to it, madam?
How should I know? I'm only the postmistress. You'd better go and see the vicar, young man.
It's a tragic story you've told me, Dr. Watson.
But you remember Colin McGrath, sir?
Oh, very well. And I always suspected something akin to genius in the boy. But he burned with too hard and gem-like a flame. As Walter Pater has said, he burned himself out, destroyed his life, and poor Susan Northrop's with it. She died of a broken heart less than a year after his death.
And their child?
There was no money. No one to look after the boy. He was sent to an orphanage in Liverpool.
Then that child, if he's still alive, stands to inherit half of Martin Reeve's fortune. If only we can find him. Oh, it's good to be back here at the hotel, Holmes. I've had an exhausting day.
I trust you had better luck than I did. What did you find out?
That Colin McGrath had a child, that his wife died shortly after the child's birth, and that the boy was sent to an orphanage in Liverpool.
In Liverpool? Go on, Watson.
Well, the vicar gave me this photograph of Mrs. McGrath. It was taken on their wedding day.
Let me see it. But this is amazing, Watson. One of our problems is solved.
Well, I'm best if I say how.
Let me explain it to you. After you left, I had quite a long talk with the secretary, Hugh Kingslake. It transpired that he knew nothing of his parents. He'd been raised in an orphanage, and the only memento he has is a picture of his mother. A picture that he carries in his watch.
And that picture
is a duplicate of this one.
Great Scott, and the fellow calling himself Hugh Kingslake is really the Colin McGrath heir.
Precisely. A fantastic situation indeed. Come on, old chap. Grab your hat and coat. We must drive over to Mr. Reeves and break the good news that the missing heir is a member of his own household.
We're still no nearer finding out who's been trying to frighten old Mr. Reeves.
Well, surely that's obvious now, Watson. Come in. Dr. Manners, what's wrong?
Please come at once, both of you. It's Mr. Reeves.
What?
Yes, Dr. Watson. This evening, he had another visit from that apparition. I'm only afraid this time the devilish plan may work and that Martin Reeve won't live through the night.
In a moment, we'll find out what Sherlock Holmes says is obvious. But first, more and more men today are beginning to realize they should take better care of the hair they've got. And when you buy a hair tonic, why not get your money's worth? Why not enjoy the extra advantages of Kreml hair tonic? Kreml contains a special combination of hair grooming ingredients which is found in no other hair tonic. This highly specialized hair tonic keeps dry, stubborn hair neatly in place all day long, and always gives it such a natural, well-groomed appearance, never sticky or greasy. But men, Kreml does lots more than keep hair looking handsome. A quick massage with Kreml stimulates circulation right in the surface of the scalp, leaving your scalp feeling so alive, so invigorated. At the same time, Kreml removes loose dandruff. It's excellent to lubricate a dry scalp. And if your hair is so dry that it breaks and falls when you comb it, remember Kreml actually helps condition the hair, in that it makes it feel softer, more pliable. So men, just as soon as possible, buy a bottle of Kreml at any drug counter. Let Kreml always keep your scalp feeling clean and refreshed, your hair always looking its very best. Kreml, Kreml Hair Tonic. Well, Dr. Watson, this story certainly has me on the edge of my chair. What happened next? You drove over to Mr. Reeves' house, I suppose?
Yes, Mr. Bell, we did. And as we went rattling down the country lanes, the flickering oil lamps on Dr. Manners' carriage lighting a shadowy path, I found it almost impossible to get a word out of Sherlock Holmes. Holmes, sometimes you're the most irritating man on earth.
And what prompts that little tirade, Watson?
You haven't opened your mouth since we left our hotel.
Purposeless conversation is a waste of time. Not much further, is it, Dr. Manners?
No, Mr. Holmes. We're nearly there.
Well, I don't consider conversation purposes when it clarifies the problem, Holmes. You said it was obvious who had been frightening Mr. Reeves. I suppose I'm stupid, but I find it far from obvious.
And yet the facts are clearly in front of your eyes. Eyes. That's it, Watson. Think about eyes.
The blue eyes of the supposed ghost, eh? But the Reeves family have all got brown eyes. Apparently it's a marked family characteristic.
Quite, Watson. That fact should lead you to the obvious conclusion.
Oh, you're always talking in riddles, Holmes, in the room.
Here we are, Mr. Holmes.
And Hugh Kingslake is standing at the front door. How is he, Mr. Kingslake?
Better, Mr. Holmes. Seems to have rallied a bit. But I'm glad you're all here.
I'll drive my carriage round to the stables. Be back in a moment.
Come in, gentlemen. With Mr. Reeves so ill, it may seem a little inappropriate to announce my news. But Catherine consented to marry me tonight. We're engaged.
Oh, really? My congratulations.
Yes, indeed. She's a charming girl.
Oh, Catherine, darling. I've told them our news.
Oh, it must seem a terrible time to announce it, Mr. Holmes, with poor Daddy lying so ill upstairs.
It's quite understandable, Miss Reeve. And before we go up and see your father, I'd like you both to know that we have something in the nature of a wedding present for you.
A wedding present?
Yes. You're both familiar with the story of Colin McGrath, I understand?
You mean that he was the true author of The Road is Narrow?
Oh, yes, Mr. Holmes. Daddy told us all about it.
And did you also know that Mr. Reeve is planning to leave half his estate to the heir of Mr. McGrath?
I knew that, Dr. Watson. In my capacity as secretary, I had occasion to draw up a rough draft of the new will a few days ago.
Then I'm sure, Mr. Kingslake, that you'll be very interested to know that today Dr. Watson and I discovered that you are the son of Colin McGrath.
That I am?
Hugh is the heir? Well, that doesn't seem possible.
The fact is proven beyond a doubt, Miss Reeve.
Then if Mr. Reeve makes the new will, I stand to inherit half the fortune.
Yes, my boy, you do. That's what Mr. Holmes meant when he was talking about wedding presents.
Come here, somebody!
That's Uncle Silas. He's upstairs with Dad.
What's wrong, Mr. Reeve?
Fire! I knocked over a lamp in Martin's room.
And Daddy's up there.
The room's ablaze.
What?
Come on, Watson.
Well, the whole top landing's burning, Holmes.
Can't go through this way.
I just can't stand here. Mr. Reeve will roast alive. I'm going after him.
Come back, Kingslake.
Come back, quick! Cut! He went right through the flames, Holmes.
Send one of the servants for the fire brigade and tell the rest to bring buckets of water and to bring them fast.
Dr. Watson, how is Hugh?
Well, he's going to pull through, Miss Reeve. He's badly burned, but he'll be all right, won't he, Dr. Manners?
Yes, a few weeks in the hospital, and he'll be as good as new.
And Father?
Well, I am afraid he's dead, Catherine.
Dead? Oh, poor Daddy.
Oh, my dear, he might have lived for a time, but the shock of the fire coming so close on top of the other one was too much for him. He died just as I took him from your fiancé's arms.
So that by knocking over a lamp, I was responsible for my brother's death?
Yes, Mr. Reeve. The credit is yours. In fact, I wouldn't be at all surprised if the local police might consider booking you on a charge of arson.
Rubbish! It was an accident, and you can't prove otherwise.
Possibly not. But there's one matter I can settle here and now.
2 nights ago, someone in this house tried to murder Martin Reeve by posing as Colin McGrath. The same despicable action was repeated tonight.
Well, one person that we can eliminate is Hugh Kingslake. He nearly gave his life just now, trying to save his employer.
Then who was responsible, Mr. Holmes?
A feature of the impersonation that especially struck your father, Miss Reeve, was the color of the eyes. He described them as a brilliant blue.
Then that rules out Catherine and me, and we both have brown eyes.
Precisely, Mr. Reeve. I have devoted some considerable study to the art of disguise. There are wigs and methods of altering height and weight. But the color of the eyes cannot be altered. Watson, 10 minutes ago you had the opportunity of examining Mr. Kinslake's eyes without the tinted glasses he's in the habit of wearing.
Well, they did fall off when he stumbled back down the back stairs, but I can't say that I noticed the color of his eyes.
They were blue, Watson. Brilliant blue, just as his father's were before him.
You mean that young Kingslake was responsible?
Yes, Mr. Reeve, I do.
But that's ridiculous, Mr. Holmes. He just hurt himself severely in trying to save Father.
True, Miss Reeve. But surely his reason was obvious. He intended to marry you. And when he learned a few days ago that your father planned to will half his estate to the McGrath heir, he decided to try and kill him before that will could be put into effect.
Oh, I see it all, Holmes. And then tonight he realized that he was the heir.
Precisely, Watson. And so it was to his great advantage to see that his employer stayed alive to execute that new will. That accounts for his bravery in the fire tonight.
I can't believe it of him, Mr. Holmes.
I can. I've always disliked you, and I'll have great pleasure in prosecuting him.
It'd be hard to prove, Silas. After all, your brother did die a natural death.
Yes, Dr. Manners. I fear that legally there's very little we can do to Mr. Kinslake. But when he recovers and realizes that he risked his life for nothing, I think he'll find his own punishment. The change in the will was not made. The estate will be divided between the family, and I doubt if Mr. Kinslake will now acquire any of it by marriage.
No, of course he won't. I'll never see him again.
Oh, quite right, my dear, quite right. What a despicable scheme. And to think that his father wrote one of the greatest plays of our century.
I prefer to forget the fact, Watson. Emotional qualities are antagonistic to clear thinking. I assure you that the most winning woman I ever knew was hanged for poisoning 3 little children for their insurance money. And the most repellent man of my acquaintance is a philanthropist who has spent nearly $250,000 upon the London poor. Now, my dear chap, I think we should look up the next train back to London. Our work here is done.
In a moment, we'll hear about next week's story. But first, girls, here's a sensational beauty tip from some of the world's most divinely beautiful girls. Powers models. Girls who are famous for their enchantingly lovely silken sheen hair.
We glamour bathe our hair with Kreml shampoo. And really, ladies, you'll be amazed how Kreml shampoo brings out all your hair's natural sparkling beauty. It leaves hair shimmering with brilliant highlights that last a day.
And you can always count on Kreml shampoo to thoroughly cleanse your scalp and hair. It never leaves any dull, cloudy film. Then, too, the beneficial oil base helps keep hair from becoming dry and brittle.
That's right. Kreml shampoo leaves your hair so much softer, a silkier hair with satin smoothness. Your hair holds a better wave, too.
So, ladies, buy a bottle of Kreml shampoo at any drug counter and see how easy it is to have naturally lustrous hair, a vision of beauty. Kreml, Kreml shampoo. And remember, a bottle of Kreml hair tonic or a bottle of Kreml shampoo makes a fine addition to that Christmas stocking. Well, Dr. Watson, I won't be seeing you before next Wednesday, so I'd like to wish you a very Merry Christmas.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Bell, and the same to you, my boy. I'd also like to take this opportunity to extend the season's greetings to all our listeners and all our friends. On behalf of our sponsors, on behalf of Mr. Conway and myself, and on behalf of Mr. McKnight, our director.
So, Dr. Watson, we'll be meeting again next Saturday night. What new Sherlock Holmes adventure are you planning to tell us then?
It's a strange story of a weird jungle music that was heard in the peaceful English countryside and of a diabolical plot that failed. I call it The Singer Affair of the White Cockerel.
Tonight's new Sherlock Holmes adventure was suggested by an incident in Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's story, The Sign of Four. Nigel Bruce appeared by permission of California Pictures, Tom Conway through the courtesy of Eagle Lion. Help win the war against tuberculosis. Buy colorful Christmas seals and use them to dress up all your cards and packages. Buy the Christmas seals that help save lives today. This is Joseph Bell speaking for Kreml Hair Tonic and Kreml Shampoo, and inviting you to be with us next week at this same time when Dr. Watson will tell us about the singular affair of the white cockroach. This is ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
Crime does not pay.
The third time. All he gets is a scratch.
Well, I couldn't help it. It's tough shooting in a bad light.
Goofy, stop with them peanuts. Lay off, will you?
Can I help it if I like peanuts? What you gonna do, Ron? Try for him again?
After.
After what?
After we move in on the vegetable markets.
Are you sick or something? Always the markets. Nelson's got those sewed up.
And I'm taking over.
In the interest of good citizenship and law enforcement, we present Crime Does Not Pay, based on the famous Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer series of short subjects. In just a moment, you will hear They Gotta Have What to Eat, starring Horace McMahon. Now, Crime Does Not Pay, starring Horace McMahon as Ron Reynolds in They Gotta Have What to Eat. Every city of any size has its produce markets. There, the small hours of the morning are made bright as day by the naked light bulbs casting their glare over the mounds of vegetables, the piled-up baskets of many-colored fruit. Trucks grind their gears, backing and filing into position so that the rich produce of the nearby truck farms can spill over the tailboards onto the crowded sidewalks. Men in white coats, pencils in their hatbands, rush through the disorder, their voices clamoring against the roar of the truck engines. Other men find their ways amid the baskets and the bright pyramids of eatables to make their choices. Order the beans, the carrots, the grapefruit, the apples, all the things they'll offer you at the neighborhood stores after the sun comes up. And some men, like Ron Reynolds and Goofy Mason, lurk in the shadows just beyond the bustle and rush, waiting.
There's Nelson over there, right under the sign says Lanzio.
I see him.
Goofy, cut out the peanuts. You make me nervous.
Oh, Ronnie, peanuts never hurt nobody.
It's too noisy. Why'd you eat the salty kind?
Because I like to crack the shells. That's all.
Quick, back in the alley. They're coming.
Yeah. Dum-Dum with him?
Does Johnny Nelson go any place without Dum-Dum? Is he crazy? You ready?
Safety's off the old piece, if that's what you mean.
Okay. Now, like I told you, we only got one chance. As they go by the entrance to the alley, and don't miss.
You betcha.
Back. Here they are. Johnny Nelson's last collection in the vegetable racket was made tonight. Shoot, Goofy. Shoot.
I got him.
Nelson, you got him. Scram, Goofy, scram.
One more run. Just one. Oh, I missed him. Nuts.
No, Goofy, this way. The car's over here.
Yeah. I almost forgot.
Forget everything if I didn't play nursemaid. Everything except peanuts.
I got Nelson for you, didn't I? What's the beef?
Sure, okay. You got Nelson and Miss Dum-Dum.
Don't worry. We'll take care of him. Without his boss, easy. He got no brains, none at all.
Check. Well, any way you look at it, tomorrow night, Ron Reynolds takes over the vegetable racket in this town. Goofy, come in here.
You call me, boss?
Yeah, I called you. See the paper, halfwit?
Huh? Why, our name's there?
Police are investigating, but admit they have few leads. That's the end of the story.
So? What you saw about?
The beginning. Here. Market shooting brings racket warren open. In the early hours of this morning, John Nelson, well-known operator, get that, operator, was shot near the downtown produce market. Nelson, who received only a flesh wound in his shoulder...
I don't believe it.
While admitting this is the third attack upon him in recent weeks, told reporters he had no idea who fired on him from an alley near the market.
It's a trick. It's a trick. The cops are pulling the trick. I killed him dead.
Flesh wound in the shoulder. You missed. Again.
Yeah. Look, Ron, maybe next time. Maybe next time I ought to use a rifle, huh?
The third time. The third time. And all he gets is a scratch.
I couldn't help it. It's tough shooting in a bad light.
Goofy, will you stop with them peanuts? Will you lay off?
Well, can I help if I like peanuts? Well, what you going to do, Ron? Try for him again?
After.
After what?
After we move in on the vegetable markets.
Are you sick or something? Always the markets. Nelson's got those sewed up.
And I'm taking over.
But there's other rackets.
But not so steady. Can't I get it through your thick skull? The markets are always there. Always. And a few pennies up on the cost. The suckers what buy don't mind. They can't mind. They can't quit buying. On account of they gotta have what to eat.
Yes, sir, gentlemen, what I can do for you?
You, Lanzio?
Yes, sir, Lanzio Company. Finest, freshest fruit and vegetables in the whole market.
Okay. My card.
Huh?
And this is my assistant, Mr. Mason.
Hiya, Lanzio.
Oh. Is that all?
Race Protective Association Satisfaction Guaranteed. Ron Reynolds, General Manager.
We're ready, Lanzio, to protect you against everything and everyone. Get me?
I already belong.
Not to me, not yet, you don't.
I belong with Mr. Nelson, I belong.
Maybe you better join with me, too.
Yeah, maybe you better.
Already it costs too much.
No more than trouble will cost. And what do you care? You'll just jack the price a couple of cents. The retailers will jack theirs a couple of cents. Won't cost you nothing. Only the consumers.
Look, young man, I told you once, I belong to Mr. Nelson. I pay him. I'm not joined with nobody else. Now go. Out, quick.
Ron, you want I should maybe...
Not now, Goofy. Maybe later. For now, we'll just drop across the street to see Mr. Ellis. Good day, Mr. Lanzio.
No good, hoodlums. Some day, honest, faithful, to fix you good.
Hey, what's the idea, boss? Why don't you let me give him a sample of what
We're
he
not
gets?
ready for that yet. First, we grab off a couple of his competitors. See? Then, when things begin to happen to Lanzio and his competitors are left alone, he'll come around. It's easy. Like that. Nice place this Ellis has.
Yeah, but where is he? I don't see nobody.
Back there. At the phone.
Yes, gentlemen.
You, Ellis?
I am. Don't bother with the card routine. Now, Reynolds, I know.
That's so. You get around.
Just by telephone. My friend Vincent Lanzio across the street.
Oh, you're a wise guy.
Hold it, Goofy. What Lanzio tell you, Ellis?
About you. And I'm telling you I work with Nelson, see? You're wasting your time.
Think so, do you?
I know so. Now, look, son, Nelson has this market in his back pocket. Why don't you peddle your protection someplace else?
I like it here. The fruit smells so fresh.
Just a country boy at heart.
I'd hate to see it go bad on you.
Don't worry about that. Johnny Nelson will keep it fresh for me. That's what I pay him for. And take a tip, son. Scram. Lanzio's called Nelson and told him about you already.
Hey, what's the big idea, you guys? Get out of the road. I gotta get this load to the market before it spoils.
That's what you think, fella.
Hey, don't shoot. I won't do nothing.
You're so right about that. Okay, Goofy. Start dumping the load.
What's the big idea?
You said that before. Goofy, get going.
Okay, boss, okay. Oh, brother. All that beautiful spinach. Wait till Ellis and Lancio hear about this.
Now you're catching on. You tell him, see? Tell him Ron Reynolds dumped your load. Maybe they'll get smart after all. This is it. It says Lancio and Company on the door. Get the cap off the gas tank, Goofy. Check. Such a pretty truck. All red and yellow. Like squash and tomatoes. Shame to spoil it.
Huh? Hey, I don't get it. You going soft or something?
Me? Soft? Here goes. Straight from the beach. Finest sand available. Free for the taking and just perfect in the gas line of a truck. Oh, what that'll do to the fuel pump. Goofy, dump in a few of your peanut shells. Just for good measure. All right, Lancio? Had enough?
You're no good, you hoodlum.
Listen to the man, Goofy. Listen to him. His trucks get dumped. His engines get ruined with sand and the gasoline, and all he could do was call his names. Okay? What do you expect to do about it?
Mr. Lancio doesn't have to do anything. He pays me for protection, Reynolds. Holy jumping cats, Nelson. Surprised? Well, why should you be? Mr. Mason, meet your opposite number, Mr. Dum-Dum Broad. He'd just love to put one of his soft-nosed lead slugs in your belly. Wouldn't you, Dum-Dum?
And how, Chief? And how?
Why, you
Hold it, Goofy.
Well, you're very quiet all of a sudden, Reynolds.
When I got something to say, I'll talk.
Okay. What do you got to say to this? Get out of this area. This is my territory. Go find yourself some penny-ante racket. Food is mine in this town. You get it?
Yours, Nelson? Maybe up to now it's been yours. Take the gun, Goofy.
Check.
Not anymore. In your life, Nelson. Let him have it, Goofy.
Stay away from here, Reynolds. Next time we'll shoot first and talk afterwards.
I think I nicked Dum-Dum.
Not Nelson. Not Johnny Nelson. The louse has a charm life. But there's got to be a way to get that guy. There's got to. Just let me get him alone sometime.
In just a moment, Crime Does Not Pay will continue with They Gotta Have What to Eat. Now we continue with Crime Does Not Pay, starring Horace McMahon as Ron Reynolds in They Gotta Have What to Eat. Ron and Goofy bided their time and nursed their hurt dignity. A would-be racketeer cannot run from an opponent before witnesses and save face. So Ron and Goofy waited for the break that would give them Johnny Nelson alone. With Nelson out of the way, the food rackets could be Ron's. Several weeks passed. Everything seemed quiet. Nelson continued to collect his protection fees which were paid for in the end by the people who bought the food Nelson had taxed at the wholesale source. And then Ron recognized the opportunity when it came.
Here it is, Goofy. There it is.
Here's what? My chance at Nelson?
But theft. Look here, in that paper.
Look at the doll. How does floppy as Nelson made a babe like that?
He's got the dough, Goofy. If you had his kind of dough, you could get him, too.
I can get him right now.
Like this one?
Well, maybe not exactly like that one, but, let's see what it says here. Caught by our photographer at the Club Arnold last night. Well-to-do produce operator John Nelson with Miss Jill Avery, whom he has been escorting recently. Get that? Whom he has been escorting recently. So what? Does it do us any good?
Could be.
How?
That picture's important, Goofy, for a lot of reasons.
For instance?
One, how many times have you seen Nelson's mug in the papers?
Oh, I don't know. Once or twice, maybe?
Usually with his hat over his puss. Okay? Here he is, big as life, grinning at the camera. So, okay. Johnny Nelson is getting careless. Things are easy, he thinks. Maybe too easy.
Go on.
Dum-dum in that picture?
Nah. He wouldn't take dum-dum to a classy joint like that.
Right. Which might give us an opening, too. And finally, the dame. She's not looking at Nelson, but she's mighty interested in something or somebody on the other side of the room. See her eyes?
Yeah, so what?
Jill Avery has a roving eye, Goofy. I think the first step is getting it to rove in my direction. Pardon me, but you're Jill Avery, aren't you?
And what if I am?
I'm Ron Reynolds, Miss Avery. I've been hoping to meet you for a long time. May I sit down?
So you're Reynolds. Yes. Yes, sit down, Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you. You sound surprised.
I am. You're not at all as Johnny described you.
That's so. How did he describe it?
Well, Mr. Reynolds, he didn't exactly describe you. But the impression I had was that you were just another, shall we say, operator with a gun in one hand and a blackjack in the other.
So, you're surprised?
And, rather pleasantly.
May I say I'm surprised, too?
Pleasantly, I hope.
Well, perhaps. I didn't think Johnny Nelson left his valuables without proper protection.
I understand what you're driving at, Mr. Reynolds. But you don't see any ownership labels on me, do you?
Now, that sounds as if you were a bit peeved with my friend John.
A bit. When your date gets a phone call and just walks away from you, wouldn't you be peeved? If you were a girl.
Particularly if I were a beautiful girl.
Oh, you turned that very nicely, Mr. Reynolds. You said you've been wanting to meet me. Why?
I've seen your pictures. I've seen you. Isn't that enough?
You know, I like the way you talk, Mr. Reynolds. Go on. Go on as long as you want to. I like you, Ronnie.
You're way up on my list, too. Funny, though.
The way we met?
No. The two guys in your life, Ronnie and John.
And if they ever met in my place,
maybe we ought to meet.
Ron, you are crazy.
I mean it, Jill. Why should Johnny and I be enemies? We got together, we could run this town. How about it, honey? You start the deal. You might even get a cut of the take yourself.
Yeah, why not? After all, a girl's best friend is her bank account.
Dum-Dum's alone, all right. Yeah, there he is. How'd you know, boss?
The one I said I have in common with Nelson has Nelson on the string tonight.
Huh? You got something in common with Nelson?
Cherchez the femme, Goofy. Remember little Jill? Here we go. Okay, Dum-Dum. This is it.
Reynolds, don't try nothing. You won't get away with it.
Won't I? Show 'em, Goofy. And this time, don't miss.
No, don't!
And that is that.
Drag his body into the alley. Quick. Then meet me. You know where.
Ron, I'm sorry I'm late. I had an awful time with Johnny.
Why? What happened?
Oh, he's jealous and suspicious. And when I talked to him about you, he drew conclusions.
Now, how would he figure I was getting close to you?
He couldn't know we'd been too careful. But he wondered why I was so interested in getting both of you together and all.
You sell him a bill of goods?
Well, I got him to believe I was afraid he might get hurt again, but that's as far as I got. He's upset about Dum-Dum, too.
Why?
Well, he hasn't heard from him in 3 hours. And this was collection night down in the market. Ronnie, I don't think tonight's a good night for you to just walk in on him. There's no telling what he'll do.
You leave that to me. Got the key, sweetie?
Yes.
Yes.
No, Ronnie, I won't.
Yes, baby. You want this trouble settled, don't you? You want your commission, don't you?
Ronnie, I won't give you the key, but I'll open the door for you.
Okay, baby. Suits me.
This is the floor. Funny. The lights must have burned out.
Which door, sugar?
This one. Wait, I can hardly see it. Yeah, this is the key. Ron, you're sure this is the way you want to do it? Just walk in on him like this?
It's the only way, baby. Let's go.
All right, then.
Which room, Jill? Honey?
Right across the living room. Right over there.
Right. Goofy. You there?
Yeah, right behind you.
Ron, what are you up to?
I got him, boss.
Good. Now listen, Joe. One sound out of you, you'll get what Nelson's going to get. Jump on the couch. She's too scared to plead.
Ron, you double-crossed me.
Shut up. This is done. You'll be my girl. Come on, Goofy.
You should have let me stop her, boss.
Okay, Nelson. You got visitors.
Yeah, visitors. How'd you get in here?
We had the key.
You had the key. I'll beat that dame to death to help me.
You'll beat nobody. I got a proposition. Interested?
With a gun in my face, can I help myself?
You'll notify your association that I'm your representative while you're away. Then, out of town.
Are you crazy? Dum-Dum will handle you.
Tell him, Goofy.
Dum-Dum's got a hole in his head. The back of his head. I put it there. Oh, you think you get everything under control, don't you, Rat?
I know it. What's the answer to my proposition?
The answer is get out. Get out and don't try anything.
All right.
Better than you'll be when I get my hands on you.
Do you really think you'll ever get your hands on anybody, Nelson?
And how? You're too smart to dump me, Reynolds. I've never seen a gun that had my number on it. And you know my boys will find you, even with Dum-Dum out of the way.
Well, lock, Goofy. I don't want the dame in here.
Locked.
Get behind him.
No, you don't.
Yes, he does.
You can't. From the back again, Goofy?
Not Goofy. Me. And from the front. I want you to see the gun with your number on it. Hold his ears, Goofy.
Check and double.
Okay. Hold steady, Goofy. See the pretty little pistol, Nelson? With a little round hole in the front of it? There's a little round bullet in the chamber, Nelson. And it's got your number carved on it.
Now, Reynolds, you're nuts.
Hold him, Goofy. Let him drop, Goofy.
Right, boss.
Now let's get out of here. This thing's gunpowder.
Ronnie, you shot him. You killed Johnny.
He lived too long. We tried too many times at long range. Are you coming with us, babe, or are you staying here?
You monster. You crossed me. You killed Johnny.
Shut up. Get on your feet. We can't leave you here. Grab it, Goofy.
Get away from me.
Shut up, kid. I do like I'm told.
Let's go. Come on.
Go away, Reynolds. Don't reach. Don't move your hands. All right, check the place, boys. Did the woman call the police, miss?
Yes, I was. They killed Johnny Nelson and Dum-Dum. Nelson's inside. Inside there.
Jill, you're fired. Shut up.
That'll be all for now, Reynolds. You can speak your piece in court. Till then, keep your trap shut. All right, take him down to the squad car, men. By the looks of that bedroom, there's a job here for the morgue detail.
Crime does not pay. Horace McMahon, who was starred starred as Ron Reynolds in They Gotta Have What to Eat. We'll be back with you in just a moment. Now here in person is Horace McMahon.
Well, it's true that the failure of men like the Tato stealers in this story to get together and fight back gives racketeers and gangsters the chance to prey on our pocketbooks. It's also true that there's no excuse for men like Ron Reynolds. Reynolds chose the life he led of his own free will. In the end, he reached the point where he enjoyed violence for its own sake and killing for the sense of power it gave him. But in the end also, Reynolds learned, as they all learned, that he could not win forever. Reynolds found out, as they all find out, that crime does not pay.
Thank you, Mr. McMahon. Crime Does Not Pay is written by Ira Marion and directed by Marks B. Loeb, with music composed and conducted by John Gard. Technical advisor is Burton B. Turkis. The events, characters, and names used in the story you've just heard are fictitious. Any similarity is purely coincidental. This is Bob Williams speaking.